What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with another live stream after what was a crazy day in the world of Tottenham Hotspur. What a whirlwind 24 hours. Spurs were beaten yesterday by Bournemouth 3-2 in what was, some would say, an improved maybe performance, but result obviously losing to a team that was winless in 11. Dr. Tottenham rearing their ugly head yet again. We had Thomas Frank drinking out of an Arsenal cup before the game and causing a lot of frustration amongst the fan base. We had players and fans clashing in fury after the game, and we've had Romero trying to burn the club down with a fiery statement at the end of the game. And we've got now, to top it all off, Brian Daigle is back in the studio, and we want some fire, we want some passion. We called the right guy. Brian.
Yes, brother.
How have you reacted to the last 24 hours at Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, first of all, I didn't call into the fan show last night because I wasn't feeling the best health-wise, and I knew I was coming on here today, so I thought, you know what, I'll get everything out while I'm here. Let's just start this off. I have got to eat a lot of humble pie. Because I really thought Thomas Frank was the one. I really thought what he'd bring to Spurs would be exactly what we needed, and it will get us firing up the league. And I have got this hopelessly, totally and utterly wrong. Yesterday was just not so much the performance, just the culmination of everything, just a bridge too far. And I can't defend him anymore. I can't back him. I've tried to be, since Levy left, the most positive Spurs fan and give everything a clean slate and start from the beginning. But I have got this, totally, utterly wrong. And to anyone that is watching or does watch this after, I apologise for being so tunnel visioned, so much in defence of Thomas Frank. It's the style of play. Joe, the thing is, what got my back up immediately, and I didn't stand for it at all, is the way he spoke to the fans. You can never do that. People went mad at Ange, even yourself after the Chelsea game when he copped. Yeah. And you can't do that. And I think the only way you could slightly get away with going for the fans is if you've got credit in the bank. If you've done something to warrant you saying that, but he has no credit in the bank. Yes, he did very well at Brentford. And I really thought with a bigger club, more money, and with a better squad, he will be able to do better. And I loved everything he said in press conferences. I loved what he stood for. But he's come to Tottenham and he's thrown it all away. And you can't go for the fans. Then you come on to the style of football. I've been one that has said, you know what, wait till he gets his players in, And I understand the argument for he's got better players and he should be doing better. But you look at that front line, it's toothless, it's spineless. There's no cutting edge, there's no Ginola, there's no Son, there's no Kane, there's no Anderton, I can list a whole line of players. And then just the results, and then you look at all the scenes at the end, it's just not good enough. So I have to say, my defence of Frank has stopped, but I will say, it doesn't matter what manager comes in. It does not matter who comes in next. Jose Mourinho years ago said same players, different manager. I think we need to change it to same owners, different manager. And there's a whole heap of things that I've been looking through and talking, and it doesn't matter. They're not going to get backed. They're not going to bring in quality. They're not going to do the right thing. We've had players like Rose. Google the players. We had Harry Kane back my ambition. We'll stay. We've had Romero saying things. We've signed directors of football in Hitchin that have said, I don't like the January window, and the stuff he said. We've got Johan Lang, who Villa were delighted to get rid of, who has been an absolute cock-up for us. We've had Paul Mitchell say, "This was my dream job. It's turned into a nightmare," and we're just a mess. When you want to kill weeds, you attack the roots, and Frank is not the right man for the job. Like I said, I got this totally and utterly wrong.
So you have no faith that he can turn this
absolutely
around now?
none. Absolutely none. Yesterday was a bridge too far. I just can't. I mean, like I said, and I want to reiterate that when I said I want to apologise for how tunnel vision and how down your throat I've been with Thomas Frank, because I seriously believed he could do something and that this was going to be different. Wow. I fell for the Enoch con. And I apologise. I apologise for being as direct as I have been. But you just can't. There's just too much to say. This ain't going to change.
Is this the first time then that you've felt this way about the manager, and also when it comes to the summer, Enoch leaving, Levy leaving, the delight that was that the whole fan base felt? Do you feel like that joy you've had for Levy leaving maybe has clouded your judgment of of Enoch still being here, and maybe they sold you a reality which wasn't the case?
100%. Listen, I'm still delighted Levy's left. Don't ever get that. I will never, ever not be proud of what loads of people did change for Tottenham, the group I was with, the people that came on, all kinds of media and spoke about it. I was delighted. And when that happened, and then you had people like Vinay coming out and talking all the time, you're like, that's what we wanted to see. That's what we wanted to hear. And I was like, do you know what? I don't want to be so anti-Enoch straight away. I was like, okay, let's see what they got. But I think it's pretty clear to see, isn't it? Joe, one of my very, very good friends, Craig, said to me when he was talking about it, he goes, do you know what? I was speaking to someone and someone said to me, if Enoch wanted to make this a success, if Enoch wanted to turn things round and actually drive this football club forward and show the ambition like a Harry Kane wanted, they could have ripped this all up. They could have got Lang out the door. They could have literally gone and hired footballing people. They could have done what they did, and they would right now with Kudus out, now probably Bergvall out, a strike force that can't score, Mawani just being useless, having to rely on Richie, no Solanke. Now we've got no right wingers. You would have thought the board would have gone, right, okay, this is a massive issue. We need to get someone in now. But there's absolutely nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And I know we can say we're only, 8 days into January?
Yeah.
But we heard when Parashi did that video. We've already had the chats. I know Kudus getting injured now could have but you sold Johnson.
Yeah.
You sold Johnson, so you knew a right winger was going to be an issue. And there's just nothing. So I don't know what to say. Frank has lost me. There will be no more Frank defence. There won't be.
When you say Frank has lost you, are you in the camp of we need to sack him immediately? Is it a case of, might as well keep him in charge because we've got no better alternative? Like, how do you feel about the current situation? Do we need to put in an interim? Are you like Frank out? Like, is that your stance, or is it just a case of I'm not longer interested in defending him kind of stance?
This is a tough question to answer in all honesty, because you look at it, like you said, who is there to bring in? Knowing this club, they go bring Ryan Mason in as interim, and then this club will go, the fans will go nuts, and rightfully so. You can't bring anyone in, because you can go get Xavi. Everyone's saying Xavi. Whether he comes in.
Someone says Klinsmann interim, Adam Phillips says.
Big up, Adam. Listen, listen, you won't find a bigger fan of Klinsmann. I got to watch that man I had season ticket the next year, but went to a majority of his games, and unbelievable. But a management, I just don't know. It seems like wherever he's gone, the players have had issues. I mean, we'll come on to the players later, these spineless, toothless, weak players that we have in the squad.
We're going to do an update. We're going to discuss.
Yeah, well, exactly. So we'll get into that. So I am certainly put it this way, if he gets sacked, totally get it, totally understand it, and he's brought it on himself. But then you've got to think about the replacements, and then you've got to think it's January. So if it's an interim, do you back the interim with big money to bring in players, or do you say, right, we'll get a couple of It's such a mess. So, Frank... Put it this way, I put it this way, I'm more Frank out than I am Frank in. But I wouldn't say I'm 100% Frank out because of the alternatives.
What was it about yesterday specifically for you, which was the breaking point? Because, I think a lot of people, a lot of fans acknowledge that it was maybe an improved performance, Frank said. It was an overall good performance. We remember, at 2-2, Van der Ven has that chance. We could have won the game. We then concede in the last minute. A bit heartbreaking. Were we the better team? I would have argued like a 2-2 draw is probably a fair result, but there were definitely times we were on top yesterday, and that's more to say than a lot of other games we've had this season. But a lot of fans. Ben said he was pleasantly surprised by what he saw yesterday, in terms of how much of the game we had. So why do you think yesterday was your breaking point compared to previous performances?
Just a combination of everything, and then like I said, how many times are we going to concede a goal outside the box? The defending for it from some of the players was just woeful anyway. Obviously, it was written in the stars, wasn't it? Semenyo, his last kick on his birthday, an Arsenal fan. This is the kind of stuff that movies are made of, isn't it? It's like Roy of the Rovers stuff. But how many times have we seen that? It's a clear issue, and it's not being rectified. And I would think any manager that sees an issue, someone that wants to take so much time preparing for the opponents, well, okay, you want to do that's all well and good, but why are you not addressing the lack of rushing out to stop a goal that is constantly happening? Doesn't matter which team against, it just happens time and time and time again. And then, just like I said, mainly the culmination, but that goal was the final nail in the coffin for me, because it's just like, how many times have we seen this? You could write it as soon as that ball left Semenyo's foot, you know where it was going. And it just keeps happening. So I think yesterday was just the culmination and the final nail in the coffin.
Wow. I didn't expect you to go this far when it comes to the manager.
Yeah, mate, like I said, at the moment, there's one thing I have said for many, many years is this club is rotten to the core. There is no accountability, there is no standards, there is no, if you play shit, you play because we haven't got the quality. There's just, the club is rotten, unfortunately, and it's just going to go around a loop every single time. Whenever a manager comes in, we'll get a couple of players in.
When it comes to the manager, is it purely the results he's getting, or is there more to it? Is it also what the kind of how we're playing as well? Is that also a main factor for you? Why you've decided to change your mind?
It's a Joe. What it might be, but because he's changing with personnel and trying to be more attacking, that you've seen, like he did against Sunderland, and then we don't. Yes, we attacked a bit more yesterday, but a lot of it is for the way he's talking to the fans. You can't do it. You cannot do it. And like I said, he comes out and says these things before a match.
You don't like how he speaks in press conferences?
No, I don't know what it is since he's come to Tottenham. I don't know what it is. At Brentford, when he did press conferences,
maybe they just didn't get the same amount of attention.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe there wasn't the same spotlight on Brentford as it was Tottenham. But he always looked like a welcoming, friendly guy that would have good banter. And he's just come here and he'll just put down the club and the supporters. And I'm sorry, you can't do that. After a win, after whatever, emotions, yeah, you can sometimes get the best of you. But to consistently keep doing it...
You get some fans, though, saying... Because he said the other day, we've got, this club has a great motto, but, we need to realise the reality, we need to realise where we are, all this kind of stuff. Always kind of trying to almost tell Spurs fans, don't bother thinking we're better than we are, or don't. But we're not a Champions League club. He said that. He said we only got here because we won the Europa League. Kind of playing down those achievements, and all that kind of stuff. Playing down the playing squad. Now, some fans say he's spot on. He's he's absolutely right. Like this squad is rubbish. Like we are in the Champions League because of luck and all this kind of stuff. But is that how you want your manager to be talking about the situation? Do you like that when he says things like, we just have to accept reality, like this is how this has to be, we're blaming the lack of attacking football on lack of because of we got players injured? Or would you like, or how would you like to approach those kind of questions?
So when he talks about the squad, I think he's absolutely spot on, and it's a harsh reality that we need to understand and listen to. Pochettino spoke about a painful rebuild. Pochettino is someone that had credit in the bank. He kept saying it. Remember when he said, I'm not the manager, I'm the coach, they don't let me manage? Correct. He's being brutally honest there. And we need to understand that. And I've said we need to change our motto to it's worse than first feared. Because that's what we hear all the time now with these injuries. It's not to dare, it's to do. So I believe a lot in some of the things he's actually saying when it comes to the squad. I think he's right. But to continue, I think it's the manner that he's saying it. When he's saying it, and he's doing it to deflect the bad job that he's been doing. So I do agree with him when he talks about the reality check, because it's what we do need to have. And people will go and say, well, we won the Europa League. That's all well and good. That's all well and good, and well done to them that did it. That doesn't mean this squad is ready to compete for a league title. Doesn't mean this squad is ready to get into the Champions League. I know we're in it because of the Cup. But when we're saying, you look at that team, you could go through probably from now until the day you were born, I'm speaking to all Spurs fans, and say, do you know what, there was at least one player in there that you knew could get you out of trouble. That there was that one shining light that give him a ball and he could get something and win the game for us or whatever. There's not a single one in that squad right now. Not a single one. And we've had years and years and years dining on Kane and Son, and we can go back all the way through the years of the quality players we've had to get us out of jail, and there's not one.
I've always said, though, well, not always, but I've said, like, when we, before Poch came in, a lot of people were saying the same things about that squad. And you know what I mean? A lot of people were saying a lot of things about the players in that squad. And Poch came in and really improved them and really got a different level out of them. A lot of people were saying these players are rubbish, they're no good. Even people like Dembele, people saying they wanted rid of him because he was just a flop from Fulham. Vertonghen, he was very similar to what Romero is now. People like, is his head in the game? Does he want to be here? Kyle Walker was seen as a mistake-riddled right back. So, you know, I think for me, like, there is talent in this squad. I'm not saying there are world beaters like we had, 100%. And Kane, Son, they really dragged us up levels that we maybe shouldn't have been. But in terms of the players he does have, we do have players there which he should be getting some sort of tune out of. And at the moment, I do think the way he's been setting them up and what he's been asking them to do is not conducive to a team that is on the front foot, looking to go forward, progressing the ball forward, and setting up chances. It's almost like when we get into the final third, like Kudus has to beat 3 or 4 players to even create a chance every time, and he's so isolated all the time. They're not close together, and it's always, I feel like, in the process of always trying to be a bit risk averse, always trying to, you know, be worried about if we lose the ball, what happens then, instead of what happens if we can, you know, get into their box and do something. And I think that's really hampered us.
Mate, I think there, like I said, there is some talent.
I think with a different manager, maybe we look at these players in a different way. Is my point. A lot of them. Look at Tell yesterday.
Yeah, listen,
games and look how well he did.
Yeah, but that's in a one game. Obviously, he hasn't had the chance to do it consistently.
He hasn't had a run of games.
But mate, like I said, you go back with that Poch team. I'll go to the players that you mentioned. Dembele was never ever a flop. Anyone that was calling him a flop is wrong.
Well, before Poch came, he wasn't doing great.
He had a great time with Sandro. One season,
Yeah,
he had that great season with Sandro.
Then the next season he was.
Then Sandro got injured.
Yeah.
Then he was brilliant. Then you put him with a 1 yard. Listen, he was quality. There's no doubt Pochettino got the best out of him by a country mile. Vertonghen, only his head went because of Tim Sherwood. He was great for the first season of AVB, got its Premier League Team of the Year. Kyle Walker was young and developing, but do you know, what I will say with this is you look at it, this is years and years of cutting corners and buying potential and buying cheap. Or buying overinflated prices and putting them on cheap wages. And that's where we look at it now. There is, in that midfield, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. The front line is just... When have we ever had a Tottenham front line like this? In your lifetime?
Well, we've always had someone...
We've always had a bit of Keane, a Berbatov, a Crouch, a Canute, a Sheringham, a Klinsmann. We can keep going back and back and back. There's always been that one that you know could get you 15, 20 goals, bang, done, or...
Salah's on track for that.
He is, but like I said, he hadn't scored in his last 3 games when he came on. Scored as a sub against Liverpool. Started 3 games, didn't score. Came off the bench. I will say, he definitely made an impression because Kolo Muani.
He was terrible. Yeah.
Mate, terrible was too nice. Terrible was too nice. What does he do?
We'll get into it.
But this is the thing. So look, Spurs are a mess. The players or the squad is not as good as people think it is. It really isn't. The manager, and again I apologise for getting it horribly wrong, is out of his depth. The director of football is shambolic. Vinay, where have you gone from doing all the videos to being absolutely non-existent? And Enoch, this was your chance to come out and show that things are different. We're already weaker because we lost Johnson. We're weaker now because of Kudus and it looks like Bergvall. And we're in the January transfer window and you're twiddling your fingers.
I want to talk about that because it's just been an update.
Oh, okay.
If you've seen it, and it's not good. So we're going to go into a Tottenham update now. And we're going to start off with big breaking news confirmed today by Thomas Frank in regards to the injury. So let me just get up the quotes. For Ali Gold's just been reporting now. So he's got some injury updates.
Worse than first feared.
You're not going to be happy with this, Brian.
Here we go.
So first of all, Lucas Bergvall is being assessed today and we'll know more later today with him. Rodrigo Bentancur, same with him. However, Rodrigo is a hamstring injury. It looks like a bigger one, and we don't know the extent yet. So that's not good news. Now buckle up, Brian. Mohamed Kudus is a bigger one. It's to the tendon and the quad, and we don't expect him back until the March international break. March international break. He also then goes on to say, with Dejan Kulusevski, we know it's a complicated injury. If anyone can come back quicker, it's Deki. The most important thing is to remove the pain in the knee, and he's got an injection 10 days ago, and we'll know more in 3 to 4 weeks whether he has settled and he can get back on the grass. So headline news, Mohamed Kudus out till the March international break. So what was that, 2 months' time, essentially, he is out till. That is a massive, massive blow for Tottenham Hotspur. Absolute disaster. We heard the other day the injury was worse than first feared when it comes to Mohamed Kudus. He went off. Obviously, he's been overplayed this season. He started 27 of our 30 games this season. Not only that, he's also been such a massive part of our game. You can see we just use him every time we have the ball. It's like aim for Kudus, get him dribbling past 2-3 players. That now options off the table, but. Mohamed Kudus out for 2 months, Brian. What's your reaction to that?
So let's just go down the Kudus line to begin with. Then we go on to Bergvall and Bentancur. So Tottenham Hotspur sell Brennan Johnson.
Yep.
Whether you think it was the right move or the wrong move
on January 1st.
On January 1st, listen, I still stand by. I think this is kind of what I want to see from Spurs, with players that they can get decent money for, get them out, but obviously have a replacement ready, or have the replacement in before you sell the player. Kudus out for two to 3 months, and Kulusevski has had an injection, and we won't find out the recovery till after the window is shut. Yet still no urgency to sign a right winger.
Just to be clear, also the March international break is 22nd of March, so that's actually more like 2.5 months than 2 months. So close.
Well,
to 3 months.
no, we're January.
January 8th now, so
about February, March. Yeah, about.
No, because it's later.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be back. Actually, that international break ends on the 30th of March. Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, sorry, 23rd to the 31st. So that international break doesn't end till the 31st of March. So actually, he's not back till April.
Mate, it's like I said, we sold one, 2 injured, one's having an injection, and we'll find out in 3 to 4 weeks.
Someone said just round up to 6 months and we're done with it.
Whoever said, it was Tango. Big up, Tango. Tango, you're spot on. Listen, it's you would think this club now, or any football club in world football, with this kind of concern to its right wing, would address the situation immediately. Yet there is absolutely crickets once again. Bentancur. Okay, I haven't been impressed with him at all this season. He's had moments, but now, thankfully, we've got someone like Paulinho who can step in.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Paulinho, as you know.
Bentancur, if that's a bad hamstring injury, you've got to think that's at least a month, probably maybe more.
Yep, and we need a number 8 as well.
Yeah.
Because...
and so
ding, 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 ding.
Just another day
in paradise.
Come on. Oh, what a life being a Tottenham fan is.
Mate,
right? So we've got Kudus out for, looks like, close to 3 months at this point. We've got Bentancur. You would say if that's a hamstring, we know if you've pulled your hamstring and that's like the minor one, that's like 2 weeks, like at the bare minimum. So he's saying it's a bigger one. So we know that when Kane ripped his hamstring, that was back in like 2020.
Was COVID, 2020.
That was like a 6-month injury or 3-month injury.
Yeah, we were lucky that.
So it depends the grade of the tear, if it's a tear, how bad the pull is. You know, I would look, just judging by what he's saying, it's a bad one. That's months, not weeks. That's my point. So he's not going to be available for foreseeable. You got Bergvall. We know that he retweaked his groin injury, which he picked up against Crystal Palace a couple games ago. So that's a reoccurrence of an injury. And he also, if you look, I don't know if you saw his reaction yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Pounding the turf, basically in tears.
Yep.
He kind of knew it was not a good one.
Yep.
That looks like months, let alone weeks. We are royally screwed.
Yep.
Royally. We got Decky, who's not going to be back to the minimum a month, and even then, is he really going to be back?
Well, I think when they say 3 to 4 weeks, that could be just him getting onto the training pitch and training with the lads to get his match fitness.
A month till he's on the grass. Yeah.
So knowing us, we'll have another Dominic Solanke reaction. He'll get on the grass and re-injure himself. Like I said,
these injury problems are an absolute disaster, Brian. And obviously last season we had them. We had them to an awful extent. And now, at this point, it looks like they're reoccurring.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, I don't know if you'd say worse, but to an equivalent level at this point.
Well, Joe, last season it was mainly the hamstring, wasn't it? You could tell that
there was a lot of hamstrings.
There was a lot of hamstrings.
But there was also quite a lot of non-hamstrings.
But I mean, the common denominator there was kept being for whatever reason.
Defenders it was, defenders it was hamstrings.
Because of the height, exactly. Yeah. So, but now it's just a culmination of everything.
Well, Doggy's had a hamstring, groin with Bergvall, hamstring with Bentancur, quad injury with Kudus. So it's a lot of muscular.
It's a lot. We're just, like I said, it's just when you think things can't get worse. Like I said, you had a bit of an eventful day yesterday. We've just started this update and it's already shit the bed.
And the problem is now, here's the problem that Frank has, which maybe which Ange didn't maybe have in as much is the fact that before this whole injury crisis with Ange, at least he had, finished 5th. We had some good performances at the start of last season.
Yep.
We were winning games. So we had a little bit of like, this is what I can do when the players are fit.
Yep.
And, if you ride with me through this injury crisis, it'll get better. And obviously he went on to win the trophy. The problem with Frank is he doesn't have that credit in the bank before these specific injuries, albeit we had injuries before, but he doesn't have the credit of how we played. We now have these injuries, so it's hard for me to expect him to get better results with these injuries now.
Yep.
Because of what teams we're going to be putting out. It's going to be tough for Frank now.
Very.
If it wasn't before. So it's going to be tough for me to demand better results, but he needs better results because his job is on the line right now.
I will admit, I actually thought when I heard or saw the rumours from multiple people on Twitter that there's going to be a meeting today to discuss Frank, I literally thought, like what happened with Nuno, that I'd be here with you and we were going to hear it's happened, it's done, he's gone.
We haven't really heard any rumours about Frank.
Well, no, literally there was loads of the aggregators saying that there's going to be a board meeting tomorrow, an emergency meeting to discuss Frank's results, kind of like what they did with Amorim and what we did with Nuno. I'm surprised he even took the press conference, if I'm to be totally honest. I really am surprised. And I'm going to that Aston Villa game and I can only imagine what the atmosphere is going to be like. And especially if we go down a goal early. What can we do? What can we do?
So, I mean, we needed a right... The whole thing is a consequence of ourselves. When I'm specifically talking about Kudus here, I think to be fair, you could definitely argue recently Bentancur has been a bit overplayed because he's really avoided Paulinho for a lot of the games. So Bentancur has been like his most trusted guy this season. But anyway, I'm not going to criticise him really for Bentancur like being injured, albeit he's injured on a hamstring. But for me, the whole not necessarily Frank, but with Kudus, we've played him 27 of our 30 games this season. We've then known that we've needed signings going into January. This is like, we've heard from months and months and months, Tottenham are going to target a left winger, we're going to target whatever, right? So we've known that we've needed attacking options leading up to January. We should have these deals in place, whatever, that we're going for. January 1st starts, and we don't bring anyone, we sell Brennan, who's one of our players who's has an ability to step in now if we need be, and we know he can get goals. I'm not saying he's the best player in the world, but he can play. And we saw last season he's got an ability to get goals, so he could be a valuable asset to us. We sell him, who's our backup to Kudus, right? So we're even forced to play him even more now.
Yep.
And then within a week, after overplaying him the whole season, selling his backup, he now gets injured.
Yep.
How is that not absolute craziness from everyone involved at this football club, how they've let it get to this situation where we got to a situation yesterday, we were playing Bergvall right wing, he's now injured. So we now have no right winger. We now have a left wing, which the club are not convinced of because they're chopping and changing that position, albeit Tell played well yesterday, but that's one game. So we have a left wing that we were not convinced of. We have a strike force, which we have one guy who hasn't got a Premier League goal, one guy who's been out for 6 months, and Richarlison. How do we navigate this month where we've got FA Cup on Saturday, we've got 2 Champions League games, we've got a bunch of Premier League games as well. We apart from next week, where we've got a free week after the FA Cup, we have 2 games a week again. We have, before the end of the month, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in all competitions. Albeit 2 games are West Ham and Burnley, but still,
I wouldn't say that.
You know exactly. Right now, we didn't even beat Wolves. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know what? In February, you've seen our fixtures in February.
Unfortunately.
Man City home, Man United away, Newcastle at home, Arsenal at home, Fulham away. That's our February.
I'm sure there'll be an FA Cup game in there as well if we're in it.
I'm not so sure there'll be an FA Cup game. But,
mate.
So February is a disaster whether we have a full team or not. January is now going to be super difficult to manage with another 5 games before the end of the month.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 games. We've just lost a team who were winless in 11.
Mm-hmm.
We're now in the midst of what you would say is definitely an injury crisis. I would say before we had injury troubles, now it's a full-on crisis. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Or would you be saying it's a crisis throughout the whole season?
No, I won't say it's a crisis for the whole season.
I think it's a crisis now, though.
Yeah, but like you said, it's gross negligence from the people at the top, the director of football, the board. Like you said, with Kudus, you're right, Frank has completely overplayed him. But I wouldn't say this is just a Frank thing, this is a Tottenham thing. Look at Pedro Porro.
Yep, he's an injury waiting to happen.
Pedro Porro, since he's been here, has been the most paid player by a country mile.
To be fair, Bentancur has started 29 of our 32 games this season.
So, and Bentancur, like I said, I don't think he's the answer. I think he's very, very patchy. When he's good, he's great. When he's not great, he's null and void. But yeah, when you look at this right wing situation, if you knew you were weak and you've only got Kudus to rely on, and Johnson is back up while you're waiting for Kulusevski, and then you sell Johnson, you should have been right. We're already weaker. We need that area needs to be addressed. The left wing, you're right, needs to be addressed. But you know what? There is cover there. There is a lot of...
At least we have players now.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
actually don't have a right wing now.
Exactly. There are players there.
From the emergency as a left wing, we're desperate for a left winger. Now it's like we don't even have a right winger for the next 3 months.
This is the planning of this football club.
It's bananas.
This is the planning of the football club.
How have we let go of Johnson?
Then you go to it and you go to look at it, and where I feel sorry for Pedro Porro, who I love to bits, Pedro Porro gets overplayed all the time, regardless. But then you're looking, you've got Jed Spencer can play there, then you've got Destiny. And obviously we didn't get a left back. Ben Davies was great against Sunderland, but can he do that consistently? I don't think so. But I do think he gave a very, very good account of himself and everything. But now Destiny, who is injury prone, gets injured, and now Spence has to be the left back.
Yeah.
And with Spence having to be the left back, means Porro has to be the right back, unless you either start Ben Davies every game, which I can't see him doing, or you move Van der Ven out and you put, which he's not going to do, and put that. But how can a apparent big club and top 6 Premier League club go into the last 2 seasons with 3 recognised, ready-to-go fullbacks? And I loosely say over the last few seasons, because Jed Spence was an outcast, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And forced his way in last season. How can you go with 3 recognised fullbacks? You go to your right wing and there's no one. Your left wing, you've got a plethora of people. They're not up to the job, but at least you got them there. But you should have addressed that in the summer. Solanke, well, what more can you say about what's gone on with him this season? Mawani can't score a Premier League goal to save his life. It's just the gross negligence and bad planning and just years and years and years of the wrong player profiles coming in. Not winners, not leaders, not ready to go. Always potential. Always potential.
Which is apparently what we'll get into in a minute, but that's apparently what we're doing again with Souza.
Don't start with that one.
Played 24 games.
Don't start
We'll
with that.
get into that, but it doesn't seem to be that policy is changing yet.
No. And this is the thing. This was, and I was going to give them 2 windows. This was the ENIC chance to go, right, here we go. We are going to show not only you Spurs fans, most importantly Spurs fans, but Spurs players like Romero and everything, and the rest of the Premier League and Europe, this is what we want. This is where we're setting our stall out now. This is what you could expect from Spurs under our tenureship, under our leadership, under the new board. And it's absolute crickets. It's absolute crickets. And what more is there to say?
I don't know how we go about judging Frank at this point, though. In these next while the squad is in the state that it's in. It's like as harsh as I've been on him and unhappy as I've been with him, it's very hard to judge him at this point when the squad's in the state that it is due to injury. Obviously, again, you can say it's his fault. Kudus, his fault. Bentancur overplaying them, that kind of stuff, and that's fair criticism. But when it comes to how we judge him with the squad he now has available,
yeah.
Yeah, but then again, how can we not? Because he needs results. We're now 14th. We could be 15th, 16th very soon.
Yep.
Which is he was brought in because we couldn't get any lower, essentially. And apparently, not saying he can get lower, but apparently we can be just as bad. So it's a really interesting, difficult situation now for this club and for Frank to manage. Can he survive this? Does he need to still get results, or is there going to be an understanding with these injuries, do you think?
No, I've got to stay true to myself, and I turned on Ange after the Arsenal game in January last year, and after 18 months, I turned him, and I judged him even during an injury crisis and during that, and I said these were my reasons for doing it. Now, I cannot then say, I'm going to give Frank the benefit of the doubt because players are injured. It's been a bad run. Ange had to go through that. And Thomas Frank has got to go through this. And what I will say again is look, ENIC have either got to back him or sack him. And I don't see them
Backing.
Unfortunately, because if they were going to back him, I feel they already have addressed a couple of issues. But you look at it right now, a couple of years ago, in Ange's first January, already by now, like it or not, Werner and Dragusin were through the door. Although Dragusin, I think, signed on the 9th. So they do know how to go quick. Whether they were the right decisions for the squad, and obviously Werner was a major, and then re-signing him, but they've shown that they can do it. And now we are here, desperately needing, and it's just the same story. Here we are in January, desperately need reinforcements. I
remember last January, Ange was saying if we don't bring anyone in, we're playing with fire. I remember we waited till the
Danso and
till the deadline day, didn't we?
Yep, it was going around. I mean, listen, Danso, I stand by, and I think it was a great move for the club. And I think he's a great defender. I think he's...
But the amount of points we probably lost because we didn't get those signings.
Wait, it happened with... You think about the Kulusevski and Bentancur.
Yeah.
We went out of the Chelsea Carabao Cup in the semi-final. You think about it with Pedro Porro, who was from day one.
Yeah.
And we signed him in the final hours of the last day. And he missed vital games. It's what we do. Oh, God, I sound like Conte there. It's the history of the Tottenham.
The history of the Tottenham.
The history of the Tottenham.
Well, that's the injury news, and that is absolutely devastating. Just to recap, Kudus out for 2.5 months, basically 3 when you think about it, because he ain't going to be available to April, because he said out to March international break. Romero, Bentancur has a bad hamstring injury, which looks like months, not weeks. Bergvall is being assessed today. We don't know the extent, but that doesn't look like a good one either. And who's the other one? The other one is Decky, is going to be hopefully back on the grass in a month's time.
After injection.
But we don't know for sure. So I don't think today's injury update could have gone much worse unless we get the confirmation about Bergvall.
Or they say Van der Ven's picked up a hamstring in training.
God, don't even start. Let's just hope Doggy's back as soon as possible. Let's hope Solanke can start helping out soon because he's not far off, I don't think. But
Nobody's
disaster.
close.
Absolute disaster. Yeah, that's the injury update. Next part of the update, we are going to be talking about Romero. So, Romero yesterday did a statement, which I will read, which is now been edited. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, has it?
Yes. It's been edited. So, the original statement read, apologies to all fans fans of you who follow us everywhere, who are always there and will continue to be. We are responsible, there's no doubt about that. I am the first, but we will keep facing up to it and trying to turn the situation around for ourselves and for the club. And then he says, well, it's the interesting part. At times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak. But they don't, and has been happening for several years now. They only show up when things are going well to tell a few lies. we'll stay here working, sticking together, and giving our all to turn things around, especially at times like this. Keeping quiet, working harder, and moving forward all together is part of football. All together will be easier. Spurs official. So obviously that line, they only show up when things are going well to tell a few lies. That's obviously one that grabbed the headlines. He's now edited it, I think it was as of last night, as of early hours of the morning. He edited it to say they only show up when things are going well, and he removed to tell a few lies. So first of all, Brian, what's your reaction to the statement as it was, the original? And then we'll get maybe your theories as to why he's taken that line out.
So what makes me... I agree with what you're saying, but what makes me laugh about this is Romero says that line, the club only come out when things are good and tell lies, or edited the lies part. But then you've got your club captain who hardly ever comes out unless things are bad. He's club captain, hardly does any press. And when so I've agreed with a lot of what Romero has said, and I agree with that part of what he said. But this is a guy that comes out only when the things hit the fan. A lot of the captain's responsibility is to do the media, and he hardly does anything. So whereas he's right, and at least it's someone in the camp that will come out and say it as it is, as we've known players have done before. He did it, the thing that he did when he appointed, when we sacked Ange. The day we appointed Frank, he waited to come out. So I agree with what he's saying, and I think a lot of the Spurs players have commented or liked it from what I've heard and seen. But Romero needs to do more media. I've just seen someone, where is it? Football, because he doesn't speak English. He's done interviews in English football memes. He's also done a lot where he speaks like Bielsa did, where he speaks in Spanish and it's interpreted. If you're captain of this football club, you have media responsibilities, like it or not.
What do you think? Obviously, we've heard this from Romero before. When Frank got hired, remember the day he got hired, I think it was like 2 hours after. I think it was it the day Frank got hired or the day Ange was sacked?
The day Frank got hired.
It was the day Frank got hired. He said there was all... He was basically doing a post about Ange, wasn't he? Saying, you overcame the problems this club has had and it will always have, or something like that.
Words to that effect.
All has always had. So clearly calling out the board. He's now made this statement last night, saying that these people should be talking now and they only come out when things are going well to tell a few lies.
Yep.
So what do you think has led him to that statement? What do you think? He's obviously signed a contract in the summer.
Yep.
He's been made club captain.
Yep.
Start the season well. Remember, that PSG game, the Man City game, phenomenal, and start the season well. Things clearly recently have not been the same.
Yep.
He's been making mistakes. He hasn't seemed himself.
Yep.
Like at his best, put it that way. He's been making some stupid mistakes, and whatever. So, do you think it's a case of he's not happy with the transfer business? Is he not happy with maybe the decision to sack Ange and bring Frank in? Is that part of his thinking? Or is not necessarily the decision to bring Frank in, but is he not happy with how he's got us playing? Like, is the lack of ambition in how we play? We're so risk averse, and the fact that we're not looking to dominate the opposition, which we know Carlo Romero likes to do. Is that the case? Is it a case of he's unhappy with the players he's playing with and the transfer policy? What do you think? Why do you think he's calling out the board now?
Look, I think it's a lot to do with the transfer activity. And obviously when he signed that contract, he was probably given assurances and probably told things, just like Harry Kane has been. Just like Harry Kane was, where he said, back my ambition, I'll stay. And you look at it, Romero is a World Cup winner. Romero should be playing in a team where there are players of a very, very, very high standard playing with him and alongside him, and he should be regularly competing for things. But every window, it's the same, isn't it? Every window, it's the same story. I do think a lot of the players are fed up and losing interest in this style of football. And I don't blame them now. I don't. So I think it's just a host of things. But yesterday, like you said, there was so much going on with Frank and his cup. I mean, I still, like you, I thought it was AI. I really thought that cannot be the case. But when you hear it is, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? Obviously, he's saying Arsenal left it in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So you've used a cup and you've picked this cup up and you haven't looked at it. Oh, it just there's so many things to say. Why did Tottenham not provide their own cups like Arsenal did? Anyway, it's just like I said, getting back to it.
But going back to Romero, like he's obviously saying this now when he hasn't been in the best form.
Yep.
So what's his motivation for saying it? Is he trying to put the club is he putting the pressure on the club to make some signings in January? Is he putting on the pressure on the club to sack Frank? Maybe. What do you think he's trying to gain from putting out a message like this?
I don't know. Maybe it's the strategy for an exit in the summer.
Is he laying down the groundwork for an exit? You know, because we've seen a lot of managers go against the board recently and basically engineer their own sacking.
Mate, look, when anyone speaks out, they're gone, don't they?
That's usually happens.
Whether it
but
be
you rarely see players do it. It's only usually managers. You can't sack a player, really. Not
Danny Rose, Harry Kane have spoken. Got obviously Danny, but look, it's
Rose did. He said no more players you have to Google.
When he did the Sun interview. Harry Kane always share my ambition, and I'll stay here. You look at the great players that have left this football club. It's all been for footballing reasons and wanting to progress and win things. Obviously, it's very much. You know how emotional we all are as fans, and the good people that come on fan shows around the world on different channels. They come on after a fan show and they speak very, very raw and very, very emotionally and passionately because it's so instant. So we can only imagine what the players feel, especially with the disconnect at the moment within the club and the fans. So it was a thing here at the moment, but everything he said in it is right, in my opinion. And if I was to ask what's the end game on this, do I think this is to wake the board up to start signing the players they promised or quality? I can't see the board doing that in January. Possibility in the summer, but where I was hopeful, I'm losing faith. And the other thing I can only think of is to engineer a move out.
But you don't think it's related to the manager?
Say again?
You don't think it's related to the manager and how?
I think the performance, like I said, I think the performances.
But I'm saying, could it be putting pressure on the board to sack the manager? Is that possible?
Well, I think it's more the board because he said that they only come out when things are good and tell lies. So Frank has had to go out, like him or not, and give press conferences.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying he's referring to the manager. No, he's aiming at the hierarchy.
Yep.
But is the motivation to put the pressure on them to get rid of Frank? Is that part of it?
That's it.
Is that possible?
Put it this way, I think a large slice of the pie is about the lack of quality. But I hadn't looked at it that way until you mentioned it about Frank. Maybe there is.
Because that's obviously what else are they going to do? Really, the hierarchy, are they? One of the options is sacking a manager, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
of
in
course
terms of changing what they're doing at the moment. So could it be putting the pressure on the board to sack him?
But do you know what's in? When you look at that, you look through just Romero's time at Spurs. He's had what? Nuno, Conte, Stellini, Mason. Obviously, they're very, very short term. And now
Frank,
he's had 6 managers. So, at what point, when you look at this, does he think the 7th's going to be the 7th time works a charm, 7th time lucky or whatever? So there may be, and I hadn't really thought of it about the Frank angle beforehand. I looked at it mainly as board, lack of silverware. It's not silverware. Lack of quality in the squad, lack of the big wages, lack of all that. So I look at it mainly as that, like a large chunk to pie.
Not enough investment in the team.
Yeah, but you're totally right. Like I said, I think there could be something in it about Frank. There really could be, but the way he's gone at it, I think it's more about lack of investment and quality. Well, not even investment, quality. Because whether I like to win or not, Spurs have spent money. Or transfer fees. Wages is a completely another story on the players we've lost out years and years. But they've just spent it so poorly.
But another angle is he is the captain of our football club. Is it his job to be calling out the board? Is it his job to knuckle down, put in the performances and let other people deal with that kind of element? Let the fans call the board out. Your job is to galvanise the team, lead the team, and hold yourself to a certain standard. And now we know recently he hasn't been doing that. The performances haven't been, I would say I wouldn't say the performances in general, but he's definitely been making more mistakes recently, and that's definitely true. And some people saying, is he checked out? Now, when you look at that, and you hear him say these things, like, is it a bit rich saying like all these complaints when he's not holding himself to the highest standard right now? Or is it understandable for you that a player like him who wears his heart on his sleeve, when things are not going fully right and the things are such a mess as they are, that it's hard for him to keep at a certain level when he's not a guy who can ignore his thoughts, maybe like other players can potentially?
You mean maybe he's got a touch of the Bri where he thinks...
Yeah,
the way he thinks... I always thought there was a bond between us two. You know
what I mean? Like, should he be blocking all this mess, and be like, and just play the best he can all the time? I'm not saying he does it on purpose, plays badly. I'm just saying clearly when things are not going right and the whole thing's a mess, subconsciously it seeps into him, and it can affect his performances, put it that way, when everything is a mess. And when it comes to a final or something, he's one of the best, whatever. Yep. So when you're looking at a captain of the club, is it acceptable for a player to have that kind of stuff affect him? Or do you not mind that this guy's just a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve kind of thing, and what you see is what you get? And if things are not going well, he will kind of represent in him as well. And when things are going great, he'll be at his very best.
A bit of both, bro. A bit of both, because you look at it, and do you remember in the All or Nothing documentary when Jose Mourinho says you're too nice, you've got to be horrible, something? We just, like we said, how many times do we have a go to say that Spurs don't go at the referees too much, or there's certain things that Spurs never do, the dark arts or whatever. Maybe if you don't call it out, nothing gets done about it. Then it's just a free ride for them. But like you said, he is a professional footballer, and the number one thing should be him focusing on his game. But it's little boy who cried wolf with this club, isn't it? Oh, it's going to be different this time. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So he's got a very he can be very emotional. He can be very passionate, and I think it's all poured out of him. Like we were saying before, people we go on this. We go on these fan shows, you do the content, fans come and have their opinion, they speak how they see it as emotionally, passionately and heartfelt on the game. So the players must feel the same, and maybe it did need calling out. Maybe it did, but you're right, he should be focusing.
Yeah, is he the right person to do it?
Well, who if he isn't, who is?
Great question. I mean, yeah.
If you saw Lucas Bergvall,
is this pitting because a lot of the players have commented, Richarlison, Porro, Xavi and Dragusin have both liked it. So clearly it's a dressing room wide feeling. It's not just Romero isolated. The players are clearly feeling the same. So is this pitting the players against a hierarchy? And if so, what does that mean for us?
What all we do know is we've seen it. How many times have the managers been thrown under the bus by the set of players that they have? Poch was. It's what we've done, and it goes back to the culture of this football club and the accountability and the standards and this isn't run like a football club. It's not football first. It's just hit and hope. It really is hit and hope on the footballing side, and they keep trying to correct their mistakes, but when they correct their mistakes, they make even more. Rather than addressing the issue, other teams will go out and address the issue. They won't try and find alternatives or whatever. And if Romero's not going to come out, like I just said, who is the right man to come out? It's not going to be Frank. It's not going to be Frank. It's not going to be.
Cost him his job, right?
Exactly. Remember what they say? It's very easy. It's easier to sack a manager than sack a player. So the accountability and the culture of this football club, there's just no standards. Or there is standards. It's just dysfunctional.
So Frank's been asked about it in his press conference.
Okay.
This is what he's had to say. I think after Kuti became the captain, he's done a lot of good things. Right. I said it when I named him the captain, that even though he's an experienced player, he's tried a lot, he's still a young leader. And I think a lot of the things he's done well on and off the pitch, I'm happy with. I'm actually very happy with his performance last night. I think he was a true captain in many ways throughout the game. Speaking at half-time, when we were 2-1 down, keep believing, keep doing the right things, but also when you're a young leader, sometimes you make a mistake. And of course, it's good to keep it internally. Johan and I had a good conversation with him this morning about everything, which of course we keep internally. So he's obviously not, they've said they've had a conversation, him, Johan, and Romero. Interesting, Fabio's not part of that conversation, because maybe that's an indication of him being out the door. But him, Johan, and Romero have had that conversation internally, a good conversation, he said. I wonder what was said during that conversation. But he's also addressed it as well in another quote. Asked about, is it unhelpful trying to attract players to Spurs with messy situations going on in the club? He says, I think especially in football, the most important thing is to keep the noise out. You can see there's this situation with Kuti's post. There could be others where it's maybe not that positive, or a lot of people speaking. When we want to attract players, we need to tell our as close to possible unbiased story, and a good story about this fantastic, beautiful club and why you should come to the club. I'm pretty sure that clever players and agents can look through if there's a little bit of noise. I think it's very important to stress that even though there is noise, the club is very aligned. Johan, Vinay and I are very aligned. Ownership is very aligned. We know it's a tough spell that we need to get through. Very interesting, by the way, he doesn't say Fabio. So that must be another indication that Fabio's on his way out. We know he's being heavily linked to Fiorentina. Surely the fact he's not mentioning Fabio, is that an indication that Fabio's not no longer part of these conversations?
You would take that from it, wouldn't you? You would take it from that.
Why else wouldn't he include Fabio? Because at the beginning they were joint sporting directors. They did an interview together. Now he's not even aligned. Now he doesn't even mention him about him being aligned. So I think that's quite interesting. But when you went about that, he's suggesting that this Kuti stuff is creating a lot of noise, and these players and agents we're trying to attract have to cut through that noise, and it's possible. But do you think all this noise is not helpful to the signing players? It can't be helpful.
Well,
but is it a deterrent?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if we're going for top stars, hopefully they'll see through it and say, "Do you know what? I'm going to come here and make a difference. This club can be great. This club can be huge, and get back to where it wants to be." But look at the players we've lost without this noise. Look at the players that we haven't signed because of wages during the years. There is a stigma with this football club that we don't pay the top wages. You heard it before when people went on England duty and they laughed at the wages they were on because we don't pay it. So you would think players would, like you said, they'll see through it, and if they're, hopefully this will check them into gear to buy the top quality players that will have a bit of ego about themselves, that will have a bit of drive, and stop us. Although I do want to say signing young kids, but we're going to talk about Souza. We'll see, but this noise is generated because of a lack of common ground or a direction of what this club wants and what this club is and where this club wants to be.
But I think it's interesting. He says, you know, you can see this with Kuti's post, and there could be others where it's maybe not that positive or a lot of people speaking. So is he hinting there at a disgruntlement in the dressing room? Obviously, we know it because the post itself and the people who are liking it and
Exactly.
commenting on it. But it's interesting for him to acknowledge there could be others who are also feeling this way. And how do we address that? How do the club go about putting that right? And he's saying him, Vinay and Frank are aligned. But if you're not aligned with the players, that doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
The players are the most important thing you need that alignment with.
Correct.
So are they aligned with the players? Are the players on board with what's happening? Do they agree? Do you have buy-in from these players about what we're getting from this football club? And if not, what do we do about that? Is it just about clear decks, get a load of players who are buying in? Is it about putting in a new project in place that these players can buy into? For me, I feel like a lot of it is to do with, I think in the last 2 years, as much as, don't get me wrong, the results were bad and all that, we won that Europa League, and then not only that, it was the principles Ange was putting in place, right? He was putting in that we're going to play this way, this is the team we're going to be, this is how we're going to try and play football. And, that was kind of in line with the ethos of the football club, and it was something that obviously the players could fully buy into about, really bigging them up and really giving them, you're brilliant. We can blow these teams away. Van der Ven said in his overlap interview, he said, whenever Ange spoke, we felt like we could smoke anyone. You had that feeling. You've now got a manager who's being a realist. He's saying, we have to do these. We have to be good from set pieces. We have to make sure we're keeping clean sheets and nicking goals off the counter or set pieces, and we're now playing that way. So when you've gone from that approach, which is maybe too far in one way, but still an approach where you're feeling like you're 10 feet tall, you can take on the world, to now an approach where we just need to survive, right? We just need to survive this game. We just need to get out of this game without losing kind of approach. And if we can nick a goal and get 3 points, then great. But if not, make sure you don't lose. Make sure you don't concede. Be risk averse. Only allow a shot from outside the box. Don't allow a shot from inside the box, kind of thing. The players inside, I can understand them not liking that, not appreciating that setup, not appreciating of the message that sends. We're a big football club, massive stadium, yet we're being told we have to keep clean. We have to focus on being risk averse and keeping clean sheets. That's the message we're being sent. We have to focus on set pieces. That's the message we're being sent. I'm not surprised that there's disgruntlement from the group, because, all right, sack Ange, that's one thing, but we've won a Europa League. The players are such a high. They've already had this feeling of we can take on the world from the manager. You've now appointed a manager who's a complete opposite of that, and he's not as inspiring when he talks. His tactics are very negative. If they had put in a different manager in place, like a manager who could still keep that belief in them and get them flying, then I think you wouldn't have this disgruntlement like we're seeing. We never saw this disgruntlement from the players, by the way, under Ange, but for a reason, I think, because how he got them feeling. Right, I'm not saying it's about results. I'm not saying Ange was the right guy, although I do believe he wasn't. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is we've made the appointment we've made with Thomas Frank has basically, instead of riding a wave of positivity and letting these players dream about what's possible after winning the Europa League, it's kind of like, yeah, you won that Europa League, but you did finish 17th, so here's a big slap in the face of reality. That's what we've tried to do, and I think that's a big mistake, in my opinion. You should be riding that wave of momentum rather than trying to bash these players down with what they did in the league. You should ride the wave of the positivity of what the Europa League did, and at least have a manager in place who's going to ride that wave of positivity rather than have a manager who's basically going to consolidate mid-table. And the players have seen that. And these are big players who a lot of them want to be winners, and a lot of them, like Van der Ven, who has ambitions playing for Real Madrid and blah, blah, blah. These players believe they should be a top 6 club for a reason. They don't believe they should be at Tottenham to be mid-table. They believe they should be challenging. All the players at Tottenham believe that. No one signs for Tottenham thinking we're going to be mid-table and that's acceptable, right?
Yep.
They all believe we should be. So when they've got a manager telling them we finished 17th last season, mid-table's good, was an improvement, of course they're going to not be on board with that. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now, in my opinion.
So I agree with a lot with what you've just said. Agree a lot with it. But like I said, Van der Ven said we felt 10 foot tall and we could beat anyone.
Yeah.
And that's the entire squad. The entire squad felt that way, apparently. So, yes, we won the Europa League. But obviously, they went into games thinking they could beat anyone when the sad truth was they couldn't.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the sad truth was they couldn't. So it's all well and good saying, yeah, mate, you can knock anyone out, you can beat anyone, you can do anything. It's good having that belief, but then you don't. So, yes, he won the Europa League, and for that I will always be internally grateful. And he's done something that very few managers get to do at this football club. And I agree with you again that we have gone from one end of the spectrum to the other with Frank. What I will say is, like we had this conversation before about, do I agree with some of the things Frank's saying as a reality check? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We've needed, because this squad isn't as good as we think it is. But it goes to show this is where the players come into play here. So they need to be mollycoddled to say you can beat anyone. And they're delighted and happy and, oh, yeah, let's run through a brick wall. Then when they get a dose of reality, oh, we don't like this, they're professional footballers. Every day in people's working life, they have appraisals and whatever with their bosses, and they may like what they hear, they may not like what they hear, but people get on and try to make themselves better. Mm-hmm. At what point here, where I agree with you, we have gone from one extreme to the other, and Ange's team talks were passionate. They were heavily focused around the players and getting the best out of them. Where does it come in that the players go, do you know what, we ain't accepting this. This isn't who we are. This isn't the standards we set ourselves. We're going to do better. So, agreed, one extreme to the other, and I think Frank talking about some of the facts is correct. The manner that he's doing it, and we can only imagine if he's saying it in the press, what he's saying in the training ground, in meetings and whatever. He's going about this wrong. And if we can find a manager that is between the two of them in styles, and I don't mean a completely different style of football, but I mean in their being supportive around the players, being a people person, then we might be on something. But hey, we'll just keep trying loads and loads of different managers and failing because we won't back them. We won't set a standard or ethos we want to stick by and hire managers that have the same profile. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, and that's a fair point. I understand there does need to be a dose of reality, but I think right now Frank is trying to basically make the case that what he's doing a decent job because we are just a mid-table squad and that's all we can do, and that's not a message we should be sending out to our team, let alone our fans or our club. And even if it might be true, you don't send that message out. You don't. You get them to try and believe they're better than that. Yeah. So because maybe they'll get more better performances of that. You don't just get them accepting that. Yeah. So I think that's part of the reason you're seeing a lot of disgruntlement from Romero and all this kind of stuff. On top of the fact that there's a lack of investment as well, and he's probably looking around and we're still playing teenagers, and you know we've let go of Kane and we've let go of Son, and where is the replacements? Where is the world class talent? How are we supposed to push on when these guys have gone and we haven't replaced them? That definitely plays into it as well. I think the whole thing just screams mediocrity. And I think it's been probably a final straw with him. More quotes from Frank on the transfer window. We are working very, very hard to see if we can improve the squad. Johan, now he does mention Fabio. It says Johan, Fabio, Vinay, everyone in and around the club, recruitment department is doing that. January is very, 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 three verys there.
Say that again, sorry, that last
January is a very, very, very difficult window.
Oh, Jesus
It's
Christ.
very important to get short-term success and long-term success. Everything is linked. So the players we are bringing in, it's because we think they can improve the squad and the team. Three verys there for the January window, Brian. It doesn't inspire in confidence that we're going to be getting any big signings. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, I mean, he also says about more frank quotes about the recent form. He says, I think there's a couple of things in it. I think the last 5 games we played, Liverpool, Palace, Brentford, Sunderland and Bournemouth, I think it's been consistent, good competitive performances. Through the roof? No, but good competitive, consistent performances, and that's what you need in a long season. Those 5 games should have given us more than the 5 points we've got. Probably 8, 9, maybe 10. And if you get that from those games, it's different. That's what we're focusing on. Can we produce performances like that last night? Overall, like the performance, it's my job to deal with all the scrutiny. It's no problem. I can face all the questions. I'll take all the blame. I'll take all of that. Also, my job is to look through everything and look through the defeat last night. Of course, it was very emotional and tough to take for everyone, but I think it was in many ways good and we deserve more from that. So we just need to keep doing that, and especially the last 2 games, it's a minimum of 4 points we should have, if not more. So we just need to keep doing that, and the next thing is it's almost the perfect storm. In a storm, some are building fences and hiding behind it, others are building windmills and getting stronger and getting more energy and learning from it. Ooh, that's quite interesting. He said, in a storm, some are building fences and hiding behind it. Who do you think he's talking about? Some players, maybe? Is he's calling out Romero with some of his comments, and he's saying he's hiding behind a fence in the storm?
The plot thickens. The plot, mate. Who?
Do you think he's talking about players, fans? It's interesting when he says
board.
In a board. Is he talking about the board there when he says in the fence, some are building fences are hiding behind it?
Or is he saying that the board's the windmill? Look, first of all, I will say, when he said very, very, very difficult, I will say it for a lot of Spurs fans, let's just change that to very, very, very predictable. January, the only reason I say January is a tougher window is because it's only a month long, and then you've got players at clubs that are fighting for promotion or relegation, and they may not want to sell their key players. If you pay the money, which we have seen, Brennan Johnson, Semenyo go to Manchester City, these people look up. It's about paying the money, and I take it's a very, very difficult window to get players in, as in we don't want to pay the money. I go back to the day when Kieran Trippier signed for Newcastle, and me and Ben had a ding-dong on here. I wasn't saying that's a big, big transfer, but you got a very good player out of a club where he just won the league title to go to. You could get these players. Conor Gallagher is just sitting on the bench. I don't think he's going to be a huge, like a massive ball-breaking transfer fee to get out of Atletico Madrid, whether it be loan or whatever, but he improves the club massively in midfield, especially with the news with Bentancur now, but they don't do anything. And if Spurs were to slap some bids down for players and offer the wages, I don't think it's a difficult window. It's an expensive window, and that's why we're so inactive.
Yeah, and I think the problem you have in January, which to be honest every club has in January, apart from maybe Man City, who will just dump up the money, is especially in the way we are right now, which we're not very attractive when it comes to the top players.
Yep.
You know, Semenyos, these kind of people, we're not that attractive if we're being honest. So those players that we really want, which is stars who are ready for a top 6 club, who are in their prime, who are ready for a big move, who are the other top 6 clubs are going to be looking at, like, of course, because they're not a secret, they're you know, everyone knows them. Those players are unattainable for us right now because they don't want to join us, or they're going to cost so much money that it's just the overpayment's going to be crazy. We're just going to have to basically pay a crazy wage package. So we can't really get those players. The younger players who are looking to develop and grow into a star are looking at us thinking, look at the football they're playing. Do I really want to be part of that? Is that the best place to grow right now? You know, look at what he's doing with Bergvall. Like, for example, like he's really misprofiled him, and he's not playing him in his best position. And what is that the best club for me? So getting those talents are also going to be difficult right now. We're now also in a situation where players like Jan Diamande, who's played 25 games for Leipzig at 19 years of age, is now worth apparently close to 100 million. We're not going to pay those kind of fees for a player who's a complete punt at this point. As much as the recruitment and the scouting might say this guy is great, the reality is he's 19, having played 25 games in the Bundesliga. Is that enough to splash 100 million out on? No.
Nope.
So where does that leave us? Where that leaves us looking for players like Brighton will probably sign, you know, from foreign leagues who you have to identify, but they have super smart scouting, and they have an incredible way of getting talent, which we just don't have that in our locker. So where that leaves us is signing players probably from mid-range clubs who teams aren't really looking at right now, in the hope that our recruitment is so smart that we actually can get some undervalued talent in the market and bring them in, and actually them being a lot better than we think they are. And that's the situation where we've always been, essentially.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but I will say when it comes to the youth products that you were mentioning, and will they want to come and misprofiling? Look, I think when it comes to it, young players will see Tottenham keep going down this avenue of young. It doesn't matter who the manager is, what position you're playing in. Spurs will keep buying younger. But then you look at it, we keep buying young, but we want to hope and pray that all these youngsters that we've got coming through are going to get in. Well, how are they going to get in if we keep buying youngsters, then buying more youngsters to replace youngsters? So it's just madness. Our transfer strategy, like I said, there are people, like I said, Conor Gallagher. Not saying he would come in, especially with the Chelsea connection and now seeing where we are. But there are players of that ilk that are sitting on the bench that can't get regular first team minutes, that we know are proven Premiership ready, that can come in and do a job. And yeah, do you know what? We might need to pay higher. In fact, we do need to pay higher wages. Not saying for every single player, but it has been a common theme with Tottenham Hotspur that you won't get paid the wages that you're deserved or you should be earning at a football club, because we won't pay it. When it comes to bringing it, I don't think just because we've got Levy out the door, all of a sudden we're going to be dining at the top table and paying the big money for the big player. It's just never going to happen, especially not straight away. The tier below, yes, we might not be in an attractive position, but like I said, these players have egos, and they're like, do you know what, I could be the player that changes this. This is a big club. I walk into this first team and get regular minutes, and if they're from the player, but Tottenham Hotspur should be able to turn around and say, right, listen, we're going to pay you the wages. You're in London, you're starting, and you're going to make a difference. And that should hopefully be enough. But for years and years of mismanagement, and like I said, recruitment is another thing, because we've had this for years, haven't we? The only one that I will say that did well was obviously Paul Mitchell. And when he wasn't listened to, he left. We've had Steve Hitchin, who, as Levy said in his notes, misspent 250 million. No repercussions. Even came out on the documentary and said, oh my God, I hate the January transfer window. We've had Johan Lang, which has just been an absolute... Absolute. And then you can go through others that have just been an absolute mess. Baldini. So the director of football, his reach. Look at the players Aston Villa are signing and the strength they've gone to since Johan Lang has gone. They have only gone one trajectory, and that's up. And Villa were delighted to get rid of him, all the fans. We lap him up because obviously, you come here, you're fit. And he has been an absolutely categorical cock-up.
There's more quotes.
Oh, God.
Asked about whether he has done enough to have more time at Tottenham and is his play style enough. He says, no doubt about that. put it this way, would we love to be higher in the table and have more points? 100%. We work hard every single day to make sure we perform well. We want to land in the best possible position at the end of the season. We need to look at the FA Cup game, a good opportunity against Villa, a team who is flying in the moment in time. The tournament is very important for the fans. We've won it 8 times in our history. This is a tough spell. We will get through this. We definitely want to do more, in quotes, from an attacking point of view. We have scored enough goals. It's a fair question. We spoke about frustration, of course. Yeah, it's the ethos of the club. It's something we're working very hard on. I see myself as above average intelligence. I'm very aware of that. My teams have always created and scored goals. This team will do the same. It's fair to say that we've been lacking in some tough, free-flowing offensive players that we've had in the last few seasons. That's part of the challenge and part of the other bits we need to work very hard on every day to improve. So he's saying he 100% has done enough in his time at Tottenham to deserve more time. And he's saying he's working very hard to get more attacking phase of play into the team. And part of the challenge is we've been missing a lot of the offensive players from the previous seasons. That's why. That's the reason.
Look, in slight defence of him, he has had to deal without Solanke, Maddison, Kulu, who are big players. Son gone. But we've now got Kudus. We've now got Simmons. We've brought in Mawani. There are goals there. But he's
underused help.
He's underused Tell completely. You look at it.
Bergvall on left wing when he's had Odebear available. He's playing Bergvall on the 10. Like, I think for me, it's more to do with how he's set up than the players that we got. I'm not saying these players are world beaters. I'm not saying if he's set up in a different way, we're going to be challenging for a title or anything, or even top 4. But I'm saying, I look at the way we're setting up and the way the team tries to attack, and the attacking players are so isolated so often. Richarlison, when we're defending, is like a defensive midfielder. We should have him on the halfway line so we're ready to spring on the opposition when we're attacking. We're so deep all the time. I feel when we're defending, all the players are inside the penalty box. All players apart from like the striker, it seems, are inside the penalty area to defend the box, and then it means when we win the ball back, we are so deep. We're very heavily reliant on trying to win set pieces and trying to score goals in that department. I think he doesn't really have a good in-possession game plan. When he was at Brentford, he had a very direct and good counter-attacking plan. But it's hard to do that when you're at Tottenham, when most games you're expected to have a lot of possession and teams are going to invite you onto them. You need to be a lot better. You need to have a lot better plan in possession. And at the moment, he doesn't seem to be able to implement it, or at least after 6 months, he's really struggled to implement that at Tottenham. And the thing for me is, it's like he keeps saying how he's focusing on the defence and he's focusing on the attack, but you can't work like that. You can't train like that. Both of them, they relate to each other. If you're attacking more, you're going to be defending less. If you have more of the ball, the opposition will have less of the ball. You can't just say, we're going to defend, work on the defence, and then once that's sorted, we'll work on the attack. That's not how football works, because once you start attacking more, you're going to have to change the way you defend, because you're going to have more of the ball, and you're going to have to change. You're going to have to defend in a different way. So there's no point working on your defence and then working on your attack, and then that means you're going to have to change the way you defend. So then all of a sudden, all that work's gone out the window. So what's the point of putting it in now? You have to work with how the balance of the team is. That's your job as a coach, to have a plan in place of how we're going to attack a team while also not being as exposed at the same time. You can't just work on one and not the other. And you can't give the excuse of, we have these players missing, because at the end of the day, at the beginning of the season, we knew that. This isn't a surprise. It hasn't been sprung on him that he's going to have no Decky Maddison. Maybe Solanke's he has, but with Decky and Maddison, we knew from pre-season. So this isn't like with last season, it happened during a game mid-season. Then all of a sudden you have to scramble around to get that to work, right? With Romero and Van der Ven, it happened in a game. With Maddison and Decky, it happened in pre-season, so he's had time to plan for this. This isn't a surprise. He's had Javi as well brought in. He's had Kudus there, also brought in. He's had Mwani brought in. So he's got players there, attacking talent he can work with. Now, I understand maybe at the beginning it's going to take time for them to gel and whatever. We're 6 months in now.
Mm-hmm.
These excuses are wearing thin of we're still missing Maddison and Decky. I don't get the excuse of we're missing these players, so we have to play this way, essentially, is what he's saying. Or we're now struggling. As he's saying, the players are that bad that this is the best they can offer. That's the most they can attack. This is the most he can get out of them. I think these are very, very talented players, and we should be seeing a lot more from them. He should be getting the best out of Javi. We should be seeing more out of these attacking players, but we're not. And I don't think, it's maybe a lot of it, maybe a part of it is due to the fact that they're adjusting to the league and all this kind of stuff, and that does take time. But I look at how we play and how isolated all these players are, and how there is no kind of in possession kind of way of playing that I'm seeing being implemented and seeing being worked on, and it's hard for me to buy into a lot of what he's saying here when I hear his excuses.
What I will say, the thing that's annoyed me about this is with him saying it is there's been no indication that they're working on the attack. What he's done is change the personnel. Mm-hmm. He's not changed the way we play. Mm-hmm. He's changed the personnel. Yes, we looked more creative yesterday. Sunderland at home, apart from the goal, which was from a corner, we really offered nothing. We offered nothing. I don't think the keeper had a save to make, from what I recall. And it's just the same thing over and over again. I will say, where I disagree with you, is like I've said before, this squad just isn't good enough offensively. It just is not good enough. And yes, we got rid of Son and brought in Kudus, and Kudus has got Premier League experience, and he has been very, very, very good at times, but there are times where he's hold on to the ball too long or whatever. But then you look, Xavi has just come in, and where he started to look brighter, and then obviously got that red card. But the other bits of quality around it just aren't the standard what Tottenham Hotspur need. And like I said, you look at this now, the drop-off from a Son and Kane there, or a Berbatov and Keane. Or so
Look at it this way, though. We've signed Kudus and Xavi.
Yep.
Are we expecting right now for us to sign better quality players than those players?
In an ideal world, we would. But in the real world,
How
no.
can we attract them?
This is where the wages come in. This is where we've had so long.
Semenyo, we tried, he can't attract him.
Well, no, Semenyo, an Arsenal fan, and has had his heart set on going to Manchester City. And listen, I get that. I get that. And when Spurs said they're no longer going for him,
I'm saying in this window would be lucky to get Xavi's and Kudus's, is my point.
I think, again,
we would. We're not getting that this window.
I kind of slightly disagree with that, and I want to see. Do you know what? I want to see Spurs say, "Here we go, we're going to pay you the wages," and then we'll see. If a player comes, if Spurs, let's just say a player wants 250 grand a week, and it's a player that is worthy of 250 grand a week, not just to hit him just so we can bring him in. Let's see if Spurs finally do it. Let's see if Spurs finally go, right, you want 250? We are going to.
Who's these big players who are coming to us?
Mate, I'm saying someone that will come in like a Conor Gallagher.
Okay, we don't need to maybe.
But let's just say Conor Gallagher, because I think
is he better than Xavi and Kudus, right? Like in terms of that level of player.
For what we need, absolutely, he comes in, he makes a massive.
I'm not saying he doesn't make a difference. I'm just saying in the level of player he is, right? Is he of a higher standing than Xavi or Kudus? It was when we signed them. Probably not. Probably similar level.
Mate, when you look at what he's done in the Premier League, and he was in the top tier for all the metrics. He may not be the flashy name. He may not be the flashy name and have all the tricks and skills.
He's not a world-class player, though, is he?
No, but he is a player. Even would you say Ruben Neves is a world-class player? He comes in immediately.
Yeah, he's probably closer to world-class.
But he's not world-class. That's what I'm saying. That we have to realise where we are. And what we need is we need players. No, but what I'm saying is someone like a Conor Gallagher, and I'm just using Conor Gallagher because he's exactly what this midfield needs. Exactly what this midfield needs.
I'm talking about the forward line.
Oh, the forward line, mate. Look, This is a football club that signed Berbatovs. The players are there.
Yeah, look, people suggesting Ilman Ndiaye. Look, Ilman Ndiaye's a great player. Is he above, like, let's say, a Kudus? Where Kudus is, like, what his standing is? And that's my point. Though my point is, we signed some good players in the summer.
I put Ndiaye on par with Kudus.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. We signed Xavi and Kudus in the summer. I'm not expecting us to sign much better right now in terms of what those players are.
Spurs this window, it's...
Is the argument we need more Xavi and Kuduses? We don't have enough of them, or is the argument they're not good enough?
I think that's the kind of level that should be the bare minimum. At Tottenham Hotspur, the bare minimum. That they are quality players.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Spurs should be heading. If you bring in more players of that ilk,
so we lack the depth of those kind of players. Is the point?
Oh, mate, we lack the depth. Period. You look at it like we said earlier. We got no right wingers. We got 3 recognised right backs, and one's having to cover everywhere, and the other one is being run ragged because Destiny's injured. I hate to say it, you look at the filth. They've spent years building that squad, and now they've got a player in every position, or 2 players in every position of a higher. Not saying we're going to jump to. I'm not saying, but they spent the time to readdress it and build it up.
Here's my point. I'm just trying to get across is the fact that he is bemoaning that we've had no Maddison and Decky, right, and we're basically saying the attack's not good enough. That's essentially what he's saying, and I'm working what I got. My point is he signed Xavi and Kudus and Mawani in the summer, and he's had that to work with. Now, if you're saying, and the point being is, well, he's kind of saying that's not enough. My point is that's the best he's going to get right now. My point is those kind of players right now, he would be lucky to get that in this window. If we signed, and let's say he had an identical twin Kudus, right? If we signed him, we'd be lucky to get him right now because we're not going to get much better than that, right? So if he's saying these players are not good enough and I can't work with these players, well, who can you work with? Because you're not getting much better right now. So that's a problem. We need someone who can work with these players.
This is a guy that's worked with, and one of the things that I loved about him, look what he's done with Wissa, Tony and Buemo. They weren't recognised. He scouted Thiago. He got Thiago in for Brentford. Obviously didn't get to play him because of an injury. He's worked with players who are nowhere near where those players are. But let's get this right with Mawani. The only reason that guy is here is because of Solanke's injury. If Solanke hadn't been injured, it would have been Solanke and Richarlison to hold the fort, both who could pick up injuries. So Kudus and Xavi were great additions. Obviously, we missed out on Eze and Gibbs White as well. But Kudus, when we signed him, and especially how he started, looked fantastic. Simmons, we've got to give a player a season to settle in. But obviously, some players come in and set the ground running right away. Some take a little bit of time and then they kick on, or they fail. And I've got great belief in Xavi Simmons. I think Xavi Simmons will turn out to be a terrific player for Tottenham Hotspur. I think Kudus will be. But again, it's a case of...
But this is my frustration with Frank just always going on about these injuries to front players. So you're saying these guys aren't good and you can't work with them? Is that what you're saying?
No, that I mean, agree. He's not doing himself any favours. He really isn't doing himself any favours. Especially, like I said just before, his ethos was building up players and making them better and developing them with the players I mentioned at Brentford. And then you can't say that here when these are established players.
They've got great recruitment, clearly.
Oh, mate,
look at them now; they're fifth.
Mate, they have got. You look at. Look, I guarantee you, when Semenyo finally completes his move, Bournemouth will have know exactly who the replacement is, and he will go on to do great things for Bournemouth. Just like when you got to remember, Bournemouth lost 3 of their back 4, and they were monster players from last season. And they just like we saw when they beat us 1-0 at the Lane. Their defence look like they've been playing together for years. Their recruitment, which is the massive problem at Spurs, massive, is shambolic. There is no plan. There is no, whether it's data or eye test, whatever. It's right. We want a player that can do this. This is the. Let's just say when we went and got a Harry Kane at striker. That is what we want. How cheap can we find him? That's what they want, but what they go and get is nowhere near it. It's the team or wish version. And Spurs need to stop doing that and go, we want this player. That's the one we're going for.
All right, well, let's move on from Frank, because we've spoken about it a lot. If you want to watch the full press conference, that is live now on the channel to see all his quotes about the current situation. Some transfer news now. First of all, we're going to be talking about Souza from Santos. According to Bruno Andrade, who's a very reliable journalist in Brazil, he says Tottenham have signalled a new offer worth 15 million euros for Souza and are optimistic that a deal will be completed soon due to the progress in negotiations. The player himself has now asked the coaching staff not to be selected for this weekend's match. So this one seems to be on its way. It all looks like it's about Tottenham agreeing a deal. He is a left back. He's only played 24 games in the top tier of Brazil. He's 19 years of age, known as an athletic left back who can get very far up the pitch. He's got a good left foot, good at crossing, but is still at 19 fairly raw. Obviously, it looks like we're signing him as an alternative to Destiny Doggy. Souza, Brian, obviously I'm assuming you haven't seen much of him, but when I tell you a 19-year-old who's only played 24 games is going to be our, in the first team at left back, what does that tell you?
It tells me that nothing's changed. You look at this. I think I said this when I was with Ben. It's all well and good signing a 19-year-old, and we'll probably be told and shown YouTube videos showing he'll be the next Roberto Carlos. But when you've got your left back in Destiny Udogie, who, when he's fit and on form, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. We saw the balance he had when he's there. But when you've got a left back who is consistently injured, do you go, right, Destiny is our number one left back, but we can't trust him. We need a new number one left back. And you go and do the right thing and spend money on the right player? Or do you go buy a 19-year-old from South America that's only played 24 games and put all the pressure on him? It's just, do you know what? It's the Carl Walker thing all over again. Carl Walker, we sold for 50 million. We spent over 120 till we got to Porro. Because we went cheap and we didn't address losing a key, vital player on par with Neville for the best right back the Premier League's ever seen. And we replace it with players that are nowhere near the potential. You look at it, have we replaced Danny Rose?
Well, Doggy was supposed to be.
But he cannot stay fit.
I really like Doggy.
I'm a massive fan of his, but the sad reality is, and this is what we've got to start doing, and it's what I've been doing, there's no sentimentality with me and these players anymore. Whether I love them or not, as a football manager and as a football team, your number one left back, who on his day is fantastic, but you get about 5 or 6 days of him because he is consistently injured. When do you say, yep, you are brilliant when you're available, but going forward, we cannot trust you to be available. So we are going to go sign a ready-made number one left back, and you're going to have to fight for your... And then that's the high standards. But we'll go, right, you're consistently injured. We're not going to address it and try and get a player that we can depend on. What we are going to do is we're going to go to a 19-year-old Brazilian who nobody has heard of. I haven't seen a minute of him. I haven't seen a second of him.
He's only played 25 games.
Well, I've missed every single second of them. And I hadn't even heard of him until, lo and behold, Tottenham Hotspur.
But on a flip side, Brighton signed those players all the time, and they seem to make it work.
But Brighton are tried and tested with it. So there you go. You want to look at Brighton, you want to look at Bournemouth. they consistently get it right.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Well, you could say Bergvall, Udogie, Sarr, in terms of the quality.
Look, see, this is where we've got to go.
The youngsters have been good.
No, this is where we've got to go. See, this is... Sarr, right now, had dropped off. And if we're setting our high standards at Tottenham Hotspur going, Sarr is the answer. As much as I said, no sentimentality, we need a lot better than Pape Matar. A lot better. Yes, he's a good squad player. Yes, he's a team player. Yes, when he, like the start of the season was terrific. But this is what's happened with this football club. It's like, okay, but Pape Matar, does he start in any of the big six? Sorry, any of the big five or Champions League?
No.
Does Lucas Bergvall?
No.
Does Destiny Udogie?
When fit, I would say yes.
But look at those big six. When they've got a player like that, what do they go and do? They address it. But this is where we're at. Whereas I think Sarr can be a good player and a very good team player, this is where I think we're, as a club,
my point being we've signed these players and they're not been bad.
But they haven't been brilliant. They've not been
Brighton level.
I mean, Bergvall, I'll take out of it because it's his second season.
Gray,
I think, but Gray, I think, can go on to be a good player. I really, really do. But we're pinning everything on these youngsters.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than we can get an upgrade on Bentancur easily. This is the thing, but because of where we are, we've set these standards that Sarr is I think it's going to be great when Sarr returns. Oh, when Lucas Bergvall's back, everything's to be... It's not. Bergvall, I believe, can go on to be an exceptional talent. But we need people around him that are of huge quality to help elevate him.
No, I agree with that. But my point just being the recruitment of our youngsters recently, we've gotten some good players there. It's not like we've just signed rubbish or players who just aren't not necessarily not good enough.
Yeah, I don't dispute that they're good, but are they good enough to get Spurs?
Are they immediately starters?
Exactly.
Come in and raise the level.
Exactly.
No. I mean, and your point would be for Brighton and
but they always come in
and
they just get the job. Right, like I said, Bournemouth lost their...
Maybe they're more trusted in those clubs at Tottenham. They're not.
Or maybe recruitment is also spoken about with the manager.
Mm.
We had it with AVB when AVB wanted his people for Bow, and then Baldini and Levy said, we bring in the players, you coach them. You look at Paul Mitchell, who wanted to go somewhere, and obviously wasn't listened to. Do you think Paratici would have signed Galini's, Royale's, Rodon, not Rodon, but players of that ilk if he was at any other club?
Mm-hmm.
The recruitment at this football club is shambolic, and Bournemouth and Brighton do it consistently. Every single time they lose a player. Look where they lost Bissouma to us.
Caicedo. Lost Caicedo. Baleba.
That's just one position we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one position. And I guarantee you Bournemouth will find the right answer to Semenyo, and by the end of the season or this time next year,
probably want their replacement.
We'll be talking about, oh my God, this guy, how did Bournemouth find them?
So you're saying our recruitment is just not up to standard in that sense, so we go for more known players because that's what we can trust.
Yeah. Listen, I've always said it, I've got no problem signing youngsters. But if you look at it when Liverpool do it, or others, for every youngster they sign in, like when they signed Harvey Elliott, they'll go and sign 3 or 4 established. But at Tottenham, we'll sign 1 established and go and sign 2, 3 youngsters. And then you look at it for the people like my boy Alfie Devine, Mikey Moore, Jamie Donnelly. The only one you can see actually breaking through is Luka Vuskovic right now. That's the only one you can say he's ready to go, he's going to be a diamond. The rest of them, it's like, well, we don't know. And then you're still signing youngsters to make their chance even more from this world-class training academy and youth academy. So the recruitment, we have got to go and sign players that fit the profile of the position we need and have done it not potentially can do it.
Well, get ready for. One sec. Apparently Romano's just done an update. Get ready for. It looks like a 19-year-old coming in because. Well, he's just done an update. Tottenham have agreed personal terms with Brazilian left-back Souza ahead of a potential move. Negotiations underway with Santos as new bids is anticipated soon. Details are still missing. So it looks like this one is definitely heating up with Souza.
Yippee.
And we... Look, I guess on the positive side, we're going to get some support for a doggy, hopefully. And we're going to get a left footer on that side. And if he is good... that would turn out good, I guess. And we are getting a signing, it looks like, albeit not the signing
we've done well. We've done well, Brazilian fullbacks, haven't we? Emerson and Gilberto.
Oh, Gilberto was horrendous. All right, so that's the update with Souza. Looks like he is coming in. Next up, we're going to talk about Dragusin. Dimarzio reporting Roma insists on signing the centre-back, and there have been new contacts to understand the figures of the operation. Roma looking like they're interested in getting Dragusin in. Would you be open to letting him go on a loan or permanent right now? Is it too risky?
I wouldn't permanently. Well, I say that, but I thought he was going to be the perfect defender for Frank. Obviously, Romero and Van der Ven are his top two, and obviously obvious reasons why, and I love Danso. He's just coming back off a Q injury. He's going to want to get minutes for Romania, so he's fit for Romania, isn't he? It's always going to be Italy. I can understand why this is happening, but again, we're getting players out the door rather than dealing with it. I don't think central defence is a major worry for us at the moment. There is cover. But if Danso or one of them pick up an injury, we're back to where we started, because Takai's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Takai's gone, so... But I understand he probably wants minutes to force it, or he probably will get picked for Romania, won't he? But yeah, I wouldn't sell him. Put it that way, I wouldn't sell him.
Yeah, I think a loan deal makes sense. He has come back from a big injury, so he just needs that time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To get back to full fitness and get back to his best. And maybe it's better doing that at another club than doing it at Tottenham, just because we won't have to deal with that development, but his recovery and obviously he's inevitably not going to be his best. He's going to be rusty and all that kind of stuff. And if he does that at another club, then comes back to Tottenham fully ready to go, it's probably a benefit for us.
Yeah.
But then does it leave us short? Probably. I guess you could say if we sign Souza, you let go of Dragusin, you maybe say Davis is a centre-back, and then you've got Davis, Danso, Van der Ven, Romero. So as much as not perfect, it's something.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I mean, let's face it, Danso, I think Davis would be picked in central defence on an emergency basis only. So I think it would be Romero or VDV out and Danso and Danso. I mean, there'll be like two of them out for a game, and there'll be no alternatives. But I just can't see where Dragusin's going to get minutes, because it's always Danso that comes on, and rightfully so. I just can't see where he gets the minutes. So also you look at it, if he gets these minutes, does well for Roma, does well for Romania. If Spurs decide to cash in, then his fee will obviously go up a bit, because he's had a lot of game time. So if it's always going to be Italy with Dragusin, wasn't it? There's going to be no other country apart from Italy, and it looks like Roma are ahead of the queue. And
little fitness update on Solanke and Udogie from Frank. He said both of them are getting closer. Udogie a bit closer than Dom, obviously because he's only been out for 5 weeks, so that's of course less than 6 months. But both are positive and improving. So hopefully Udogie and Solanke not too far away, which is some positivity.
Yeah. Mate, until they're in the starting lineup, I don't trust anything that's coming out of this club.
Okay. Well, that I think I don't disagree with that. Well, that is okay. One more is Oliver Iro has joined League One side Mansfield on loan for the remainder of the season. He's a much talked about young forward in the academy who's scored a few goals this season for the Premier League under 23s, Premier League 2, sorry. And Mansfield, I believe, are in League 2. So it's a good move for him, and hopefully he gets some good experience, and we'll see how he gets on. League One, sorry, they're 11th in League One, so that's a pretty good move, I would say, for him.
It's good for him to go get first team minutes. Do you know what? We've had a good track record with youngsters going out to League One and League Two, and hopefully he will be another one.
All right, well, that is the Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section below everything we discussed. There was a extensive kind of, the Frank quotes were coming out as we were shooting, so we had to address a lot of them in Romero, but we somehow have gotten 2 hours into this stream without talking about the game last night.
Thank God. What game? What game?
I think we'll probably leave the review, because I don't think anyone wants to hear about the game.
No.
But we'll do the player ratings and we'll do the reacts.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. Player ratings for yesterday's game against Bournemouth. You guys have been putting in your ratings as well. We now have a fan rating system, which you is pinned. I can see at the moment we've got around 35 votes for each player. And we are going to start with Vicario yesterday. I gave him a 5. Brian gave him a 4. The fan rating is 4.1. So we'll agree with you, Brian. The fans are on board with your analysis.
1-0 me.
You're one man of the people.
I wouldn't say that. I'm man of some people.
Yeah, he actually didn't make a save yesterday. He conceded every shot on target. So maybe you've got something to say. And also, there was a couple of moments kicking out the back, straight out play. Do you blame any of the goals on him yesterday? Should he have done better with Semenyo's?
See, I mean, first of all, his kicking is atrocious.
Yeah.
I literally could get my 5-year-old, oh no, she'll be 6 next month, my 6-year-old niece, and she will have better distribution than Vicario. Look, it's the long-range shot. Look, we'll get onto it with the defending of it, but it seems to be a positioning thing or whatever. And like you said, didn't save a shot on target. So normally, if they have an average game, it's obviously a 5.
How many times now from range he's conceding goals?
There's some of them. Look, there's some of them. Like for example, I was saying when we were doing the watch along, the Sunderland equaliser, you could have had him and Kinski in goal, and they wouldn't have saved it. All right, it was just inside the area, but is it positional with him? Because it's always that far post, isn't it? Like it was with Brighton when it was a cut. They're just They're just... Oh, don't remind me about Forest. I have PTSD.
PSG, he got a couple of goals.
Stop the madness. But obviously this is an issue. We're going to come on to it. The defending is atrocious for the long ranges and allowing the players to have the space to do it. But his position has got to be better. And like I said, his distribution... I used to have heart attacks with Lloris. It's worse with... Obviously, we had Lloris to deal with longer, but his poor kicking and then shouting at people when he kicks out, enough. It's definitely a 4.
Yeah, distribution poor. I mean, the third goal, maybe he could have done better. Maybe. So people say the second goal, he was on the floor. Why was he on the floor?
Yep.
So another not a good day for Vic. Yeah, maybe I was a bit too lenient on him. Next one, Mickey van der Ven. Both gave him 6s. The fan rating is 6.3, I can see here, so very much in line with what we think. Yeah, I think he had a pretty decent game. I didn't have too many complaints. I thought Evan Nilsson was getting in behind him a few too many times, and obviously he had that amazing run, which led to a penalty which was overturned.
Yep.
What did you think of that? Right decision?
Right decision.
I thought he was clipped by Brooks behind.
He may have had a little clip, but do you know what? The sad thing was he would have got booked. He didn't dive.
No.
He didn't dive. It wasn't a penalty. And I will say, look, I can't stand... There's a lot of people saying Van der Ven was trying to cheat and Van der Ven was diving. I don't think it was a dive. I think there was some form of contact. But the main thing they were looking at was obviously that last bit of the tackle. I do believe
that wasn't a foul, but I actually think Brooks slides in from behind. I actually think he makes contact, which I think is a foul. And then it takes Van der Ven off his stride, and then it leads him going into the Bournemouth player, which I don't think was a foul, but I think the initial one was, and that should have been considered, in my opinion.
You may have a point there, but I still think VAR got that one right. This man, obviously, forget what happened after the pitch. This is all about the match. in a time where we needed, like we've been talking about before, about the lack of attacking creativity in the plan, this man will just pick up the ball and just drive. It's like, why am I bothering with you guys in midfield or long ball? I'm just doing it myself. I shudder to think where we would be right now if it hadn't been for him all season.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, people will say that Frank's regressed a lot of players and no one's really improved. Well, Mickey van der Ven has. Mickey van der Ven has, for whatever reason. Obviously, staying fit is a massive part of it. And I thought he had a good game yesterday.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good. I think some of the defending for the goals of the second goal wasn't fantastic, which is why he only got 6. But that run was phenomenal. And he scored as well, which was a phenomenal save by Petrovic.
Yeah, that was a fantastic save.
Fantastic save, and he was really unlucky with that one. So he's unlucky to, I thought, have the penalty overturned and for the shot, but defensively wasn't fantastic. Next up, Kuti Romero. I gave him a 5. Brian gave him a 6. The fan rating, 5.9. So 1.1 off the fans there, Brian. Very mixed game for Kuti, because I thought going forward he was phenomenal. He was like incredible. He won 12 out of 13 aerial duels. He literally won every header, and a lot of them were from corners. Every corner we put to him, he was winning. He was getting the first contact. He was really unlucky not to get an assist for that Van der Ven one. He had a couple of efforts that nearly scored from. He was basically causing havoc in their penalty box. So from that point of view, really, really great. Defensively, though, was really bad. Like, it wasn't like a general bad performance, but there were just moments which he let himself down. The first goal gets beaten by Evanilson for the header. Second goal, kind of in court napping, I think. Third goal, just not closing down Semenyo when he's got a long-range shot lining up in the last minute. He's not running full pelt to close him down. And so from those things, you're like, come on, man, you're a leader. You should be doing all these things. But then on the other side, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He was amazing. Like, it would have been a 9 or a 10 when it comes to that attacking side. So I gave him a 5 in the end, because you can't be responsible for the goals he was responsible for and give a good rating. But I think it has to be acknowledged that he was very good in the other side as well.
That's why he's got the 6 from me. I cannot. You've literally just stolen what I was going to say. Literally agreed with you, especially the third goal. The third goal, if you watch back, I mean, I'm sure everyone has, and you have.
Gone up to a 6. Someone
just
must have voted.
Just the defending aspect of it, especially that last goal, they just sit back. They sit back and just let it happen, and they can see it happening. But the only reason I've given him that extra point was of everything he was doing up the other end, because he is always committed and trying. We saw it at Newcastle. But the defensive part of it was not the best day at the office for him.
No, that's fair to say. Was he get an extra point for the statement, or a point taken away?
If I had to give him a point, I would round it up to a 7 for that.
Round up to 7.
What would you do? Would you take it down?
Give him a point. All right, next up, Pedro Porro. I gave him a 5. Brian gives him a 4. The fan rating is 4.3.
Mate, I'm on. Listen,
Brian, you're in tune with the We Are Tottenham TV community.
Yes, come on, We Are Tottenham TV.
Yeah, poor day. It was a poor day for him. I thought some of his deliveries were good. Again, some of his crosses were good. But again, there are sometimes it just hits the first man or goes too long. Interesting to see, though, Tell was preferred over him in set pieces, crosses. And to be fair, I thought, we'll get into Tell, but I thought his delivery was great. Porro, yeah. Semenyo as well had the beating of him. Obviously, on his side, he scored. I think a general problem with him is he's being overplayed, and I think it's leading to this inconsistency where one game he's good, one game he's bad, so he just can't keep up that freshness. He needs a break every so often, he's just not getting it. But yeah, it wasn't a great day for him.
I was an awful day for him, and what I've got to say about him is, like I said, this is I would say wholeheartedly that a lot of Porro's poor performances have been because of his non-stop playing, and he's just overplayed more than anyone else. It got to the point yesterday, attack-wise, when he was forward and it looked like he was about to... Normally, when Porro's got the ball, he's about to whip across it. I'm damn excited. I'm thinking, right, this is going to be a nice little ball or a great ball for a striker to get onto and hopefully a goal. Now I'm just like, Porro's got the ball. And then defensively, for one of the goals he was covering Spencer left back and didn't even try and close the person down. Like you said, Semenyo's goal, it was on his side, and the first goal, he's nowhere near the cross. It was just a comedy of errors, but I am putting all of this with Porro just down to, thankfully he's reliable for us in fitness-wise, but it's causing a problem because they just don't give him a rest. Mm-hmm. His reliability is actually causing him issues, and he needs to have a rest, but they can't rest him. So he has not been good.
Next up, we have Jed Spence. We both gave him 5. The fan rating is 5.7. 5.6 now. It's just been changed. I think he's had an average game. I think he carried the ball well a few times. Did he? I think he helped support Tell more than Davis did. So I think that's what led to Tell being even a bit better in this game than he was against Sunderland, which he was pretty good. Defensively was okay, but I say that Tavernier's both his crosses coming from his side. I have to watch it back again to see if it was more him or not, but I didn't think he had a particularly great game, although he did wriggle out of a couple of bad situations. But there was also one moment I think that led to the goal, that he just gave the ball away, didn't he, in the middle of the park when he's carrying the ball. And it led to Brooks getting forward, and Semenyo obviously ended up with the shot. So that sloppy play really cost us at the end. Yeah,
I mean, he gives the ball away a lot in games. He really, really does. Whether it's because of a sloppy pass or he just tries to do too much. Sometimes when he's going full pelt down the left wing, he's unstoppable. But there are times where he just runs into dead ends. Defensively was not good from him. Defensively really wasn't. But again, he's kept trying to go forward, but he's given the ball away too often.
Next up, Rodrigo Bentancur. I gave him a 3. Brian gives him a 4. The fan rating is 4.8. So more in line with you. I thought he had a shocker. I thought he was horrific. He was given. There was one moment, particularly in the first half, where he gets the ball, carries it forward. The pitch opens up. He's got Bergvall completely free to his right, like in acres of space. He then goes to his left, where there's players marked, and gives the ball away when there was an open pass there. And he was doing that kind of stuff constantly, especially in the first half. I thought he was terrible. I thought he should have been taken off at half time. He was that bad. He did improve in the second half, but it was a really shocking performance, and it's a theme with Bentancur. He will just have a good game, then a shocker, then a good game, then a shocker, and this one was one of his bad ones.
The only reason I gave him the extra point was for he got better in the second half and obviously went off injured. So had that. But I think you're being too kind with Bentancur saying good game, shit game, good game. It's like good game, shit game, good game, shit game, good game.
Right.
Look, when I've said this a lot on here, and when he is on it, and the greatest things he has is his anticipation, his reading the game, and driving the ball forward. When you take those away from him, he's not good enough. And there are too many games, whether again he's been overplayed.
Yeah,
but this has been a consistent thing with him.
27 of our 30 games.
It was a consistent
29,
thing.
Sorry, 32.
If they are his key attributes, and when they're not working, there's nothing else. So injured now. Excuse me. We'll see what this brings in now, because thankfully the next person we're talking about will be starting more games, thank God.
The next one is João Paulinho. I gave him an 8. Brian gives him a 7. 7.1 for the fan rating, Brian. On fire. I thought he was great, actually. I thought it was a really strong performance from João Paulinho. Much better than he's been when he's played in recent weeks. And in fact, he was doing a lot better on the ball. I felt like he was having good turns, good pirouettes. I wouldn't say his passing game was particularly strong, but he was so strong in the challenge. He was making sure we're very competitive in that middle of the park. He was dominating, especially in that second half, just allowing us to pen them in at times, and obviously scored a phenomenal goal.
What a goal!
Fourth overhead kick of the season for Tottenham, second for him. Which is mad how he has 2 overhead kicks for us, but yeah, what a goal out of nothing from the corner. Just it sat up for him nice, and he went for it, and it was a brilliant finish, and timely reminder of what he's capable of, I think, because he's kind of been out the team and out of sorts recently.
Yeah, well, the good thing is now he'll be back in. An exceptional goal, and you think about a player like him, you wouldn't think at the speed of thought to pull it off or even think about it, which he did. He sets the tone, like, you know what you're going to get from him. You know whether he's having a good game, a bad game, whatever. You know Paulinho will put a shift in. No one will be allowed time on the ball. And he's still one of the... Is he still the highest tackler in the Premier League?
Yeah.
And he hasn't even played the last God knows how many games. So you know what you're going to get with him. And... I'm happy to see that hopefully he'll be starting more games, because I think he can change things.
Yeah, hopefully. We're going to need him a lot in the next upcoming games. Next up, Lucas Bergvall. I gave him a 7. Brian gives him a 6. 6.1 is the fan rating.
Mate.
Brian Daigle, are you doing these fan ratings? Did you do?
Nope, I did. I actually did. Mate, I didn't. Do you think I have time? Do you think I have time to do that?
I thought he was all right on the right hand side. Actually, I thought he was. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought he did a pretty good job before he went off injured. I thought he was actually helping knitting the play together. Had a couple of nice attempts as well, which one of them was quite close to scoring from. I thought he was looking game. He wasn't like, he didn't play like a winger. He kind of played like a tucked inside number 10, more like winger, which is what you expect. But I thought he would look bright, and I thought he had a solid game before he went off.
He tried to make things happen. I think Bergvall's decision making is sometimes not the correct. And that will come with age. That will come with age and consistency and playing regularly. We are asking him to play out of position. He did do a couple of good things. And one thing I will say, Bergvall, is he will always try and drive the ball forward. But it's what he does with the ball once he's got forward. And yeah, I couldn't give him a 7. When I look at the players I've given some 7s to, one being Van der Ven, another one will come on to. Do I think... Bergvall was there? No.
Okay. Next up, Xavi. We both gave him 6s. 6.2, the fan rating. I thought there were a couple of spells he looked really bright. At the beginning of the game, I thought he was actually linking really well with him. Telmawani were doing some really good stuff, and he was earning free kicks, breezing past players, and looking really bright. He then started to be a bit loose and careless, gifting the ball away, stupid flicks, and giving the ball away back to Bournemouth, and he was kind of out the game for a bit. And then I thought he came and got a second wind. Like, after Richarlison came on, I thought he got a second wind and was starting doing some really good stuff. There was one moment he flicked the ball over a Bournemouth player's head and then played a beautiful, like, lobbed through ball to Richarlison, who kind of just screwed up the move. But that was some good play from him, and I thought he was looking really bright, but there was too many periods where he was just out the game and a bit and actually being bullied a bit. So some good stuff, but also some not so good stuff.
Exactly, again, exactly what I was going to say. Like I said, what I do want to see with him, especially with Kudus out, we all know that he is our main avenue for creativity. And games like this, you want him to stand up and demand the ball and get on the ball and try and take the game by the scruff of the neck. Obviously, he's been out for 3 games with his suspension. Got the assist. And hopefully now that he's back, he can grow into the role and show like he did against Brentford at home when he was fantastic. But yeah, like I said, he got bullied a bit. So agreed with you, the 6.
Next up, we have Matisse Tell. I gave him an 8. Brian gives him a 7. 7.6. So closer
to me.
To
you for once.
I thought he was brilliant. I thought by hands down his best performance in the Tottenham shirt. I thought he was an absolute constant threat down that left-hand side, whether it be a brilliant goal he scored right at the start of the game, whether it be... He should have had a penalty. What did you think about that? I thought he should have had a penalty when he got brought down by Jimenez. I thought he drags him down. I didn't understand why VAR didn't look at that.
Because it's Tottenham.
I thought that was a penalty for me, and it didn't get any sort of commotion from anyone. I watched it back, and he literally drags him down when he's getting there. Tell's literally going to get round and get to the ball, and Jimenez just dragged him down. So I thought he was unlucky not to get a penalty. I thought for the majority of the game, he really had the beating of him, and he really struggled to contain him. I thought his hold-up play, his protection of the ball was so much better in this game. The goal he scored was really nice, by the way, taking on Hill and brilliant finish into the far corner, which we know he's capable of. I thought his delivery from corners was fantastic, absolutely on the money every single time, and we were really unlucky. Well, we got a goal from one of them from Palini, but he should have had more than one assist because his delivery was on point. He also had another great delivery where he crossed it. It was just before the goal, I think. He crossed it in, cuts inside from the left-hand side, cuts it, crosses it into the back post, and it nearly causes an own goal, if you remember. And I think it led to the corner, which was a goal. If we have more performances like that, we're not going to be thinking about left winger as much, because he was absolutely fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, look, he came in and definitely showed why he wants to play there and get more game time. Joe, I don't think he did too bad against Sunderland either.
Yeah, I thought it was
I don't think he did too bad against Sunderland either. Since the Manchester United game, when he came on and had that impact, when he has come on, he has done bits. And I was delighted to see him get the goal. You're completely right with his delivery. Completely spot on with the delivery. He has got a very, very good corner on him. And like you said, he should have had more. But this is something where you can say, okay, now let's see him kick on and do something. That's if we go and send him on loan probably now.
No, we better not. We've got to be so stupid to do that.
Look, we've all said about the left wing. Let's just hope Frank, or whoever will be in charge, God knows what happens here, will stick with him. Not saying he's the answer or the solution and we don't need a left winger, but that kind of performance certainly warrants, and the back of the Sunderland warrants, him starting against Villa.
Yeah, for sure. He needs a run of games. I think he's starting to hopefully come into his own now, and I was so impressed with him in this game. I thought he was fantastic. Apart from when he does a little bit when he started to tire, but it's understandable given how many minutes he's played. Next up, Randall Kolo Muani. I gave him a 3. Brian gives him a 2. 3.6 was the fan rating. I thought he was woeful. Absolutely woeful. He's just anonymous throughout the whole game. I thought there was a period where Bergvall, Javi, Tell were all doing good stuff, and he was just not on the same wavelength. Was chosen over Richarlison, and I thought was completely anonymous. Just had a really bad game, like not doing anything to help hold up the ball or support the team. Just seemed a bit disinterested.
Randall, no goalie, Muani. We've wanted to see him at striker. People have said from other clubs, don't play him on the wing, play him as a striker. We play him as a striker, and he offers absolutely nothing. Nothing. You could see, look at Evan Nielsen for Bournemouth. Always getting on the ball, always trying to do something, always trying to make space, always trying to have an impact. It's like he doesn't want the football. I think, honestly, it goes to show where we're at right now when we've got Richarlison on the bench, and we were wishing he started because he's the one getting the goals. But he scored his last goal in a sub appearance against Liverpool. Then he had 3 starts and couldn't score. So the way to solve it is put a player we've been playing on the left wing on the bench up front who wants to be a centre forward. He gets his chance, and unlike Tell, he does absolutely nothing. Whether that's the style of football we're playing at, and we can't get the ball to him, but he offers nothing. And I was being very, very generous with that too.
Yeah. Very
generous.
Maybe I was being generous to 3 because I thought he was shocking and rightfully taken off. Next up, Wilson Odebear. I gave him a 5. Brian gave him a 6. 5.3 was the fan rating. Came on, playing on the right-hand side, putting a few crosses in, looked a bit bright, but ultimately didn't really have the cutting edge.
That's it. The only reason I gave him the extra point is he came on. I always do when the subs come on their 5s, depending on their time they've got, and he did try to make things happen. They didn't come off, but at least he came on and showed some intent and tried to drive. He had a couple of opportunities. His decision making just at the end, like he's afraid to take the shot. He always wants that extra touch. He's got kicked out of his game, but I think he came on and he did try to make things happen. Just unfortunately, none of them came off.
And Richarlison, we both gave him 6s. The fan rating was 5.5 actually, so they thought he was a bit worse than we did. Yeah, I thought he came on and made an impact. Obviously, I think that it ultimately comes down to that massive chance he had, which he hits the post, which he has to score that, doesn't he? It is at 2-1, so would have made it 2-2 a bit earlier. That was a massive chance. That was a big chance he had to score. There was another moment where Xavi plays a nice through ball, lobbed kind of ball to him, and he kind of gets caught ball juggling as opposed to just getting the shot off, and that was a bit frustrating. But I actually thought he came on, just caused some chaos, shake things up a bit, and it made Bournemouth kind of panic a bit. He
did. That's the reason I gave him a 6, because even the commentary team said it. They said Spurs' attack have looked completely different. Yeah, when Richarlison come on, we stepped up. Like you said, Xavi got a second wind because there was someone there that they knew they could score goals. And he had a couple of opportunities, and like I said, he did his daddies on the ball a little bit too much sometimes. But he definitely came on. And as I was saying before, with Bournemouth striker, they're always trying. They're always being a nuisance. And he came on and did have an impact, just unfortunately not to be on the score sheet.
And lastly, Thomas Frank. I gave him a 5. Brian gave him a 4. Obviously, on the end of a 3-2 defeat in this game. What do I think? I think in terms of how he managed the game, I think we came out the traps quite well. We then did lose control of the game, like quite quickly in that first half, and started becoming our passive selves, like we've seen this happen this season. I think for the opening 20 minutes of the second half as well was a bit of a dead game. We weren't doing much, they weren't doing much, albeit we were controlling possession, but we weren't really hurting them. He then obviously forced into some changes with Bergvall and Benchcore going off, but I actually think the changes improved us. I thought Richarlison coming on improved us. I thought we got the goal. Obviously, I thought the goal was deserved when we did. We had the penalty, we had the post, we were on top of them. And then at 2-2, it looked like we were the ones in the ascendancy and going to go on to win the game. But unfortunately, I thought they got a second wind in stoppage time. They made a couple. I think they made a couple of subs. When did they make? I think it was literally just before stoppage time. They make a couple of subs, and I think that really swung it in their favour. They got that little bit of energy, that little bit of boost. And actually, in stoppage time, they were the ones ending the better, unfortunately. And we struggled to kind of deal with them. And they end up getting that late winner from a goal we've seen 100 times this season, one of those late goals. So, yeah, they made 2 subs in the 87th and 1 in the 90th, and I think that really helped them, actually, at that point. So, obviously, we didn't adapt to that. I thought it was one of our better displays this season, but we has lost to a team that are winless in 11 games, so it's hard to praise a better performance when we end up on a defeat to a team that hasn't won in 11. So I understand Bournemouth's not an easy place to go, but I'm not saying we have to win there, but we lost. That's the key thing, so have to mark him down for that.
Yeah, no, listen, it was better creating chances wise, and there was that stat in the second half that we've created 9 chances, Bournemouth haven't created any, and that shows some kind of improvement, whoever the opposition is, but it's the same defensive issues that are causing it. And after they made their subs, they should have known there was going to be a second winner. It should be like, right, keep on your men, keep it tight, don't give them anything, don't give them space. And the same thing repeated itself. And like I said, we've now had Bournemouth do the double over us. The double. It just was another bad day at the office.
Absolutely. Well, that is your player ratings. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on our ratings. And, well, we had the fan ratings as well, which are a nice addition. And Brian seemed to concur a lot with them. Okay, we're gonna do some super chats, and then we'll get into reacts. And
sounds good to me.
So let's get some super chats up because you have been sending them and I haven't got to them yet. The first one, where are we? So the first one is Ninacho. Big up to him, says, we can't stop saying we don't have players that can change a game. We have players that can change the game. Our coach lacks a style to show it.
I agree with it to some extent, but we don't have this squad is not as good as people think.
But he has let go of one of the players who could have changed it, like Brennan.
Yeah, but is that is a Thomas Frank thing? So obviously he okayed it. But again, where's the recruitment and the people that should be talking and going, all right, you're going to be losing him, but bringing him in? Completely right, he's lost one of them. But like I said, this squad, you look at it up top, how many things have we tried? The players aren't good enough. But Frank, listen, I will say as well that Frank's coaching has not helped the issue at all.
Yeah, I think we definitely need depth. I think that's definitely fair to say. But I think our subs definitely need work. But maybe a manager could have done something more with the subs that we have. I don't know. It's difficult to say. And then Nacho again says, you are crazy to think Kudus, Xavi, Bergvall, Moani are not players that can change a game. If they are in another team, they are proven players.
Well, Moani, this is the thing. Did I say he cannot change games? He can. But does he? Other teams he did. Juventus, look at the stars playing there. Paris Saint-Germain, look at the stars there. Kudus overplayed. I'm not saying they're not game changers. Those players are game changers. Then look at the rest. Kudus has been completely overplayed. And now we're losing him. Look at the other players in the squad. And using Moani, I will say, obviously, the guy hasn't changed anything here, has he? Anything?
No. I agree with that. Malware says, Lewis kids are rotten. The Lewis kids are rotten. Frank's hologram level fraud. The medical team couldn't diagnose a paper cut. Vinay's a tunnel dwelling weasel, and Lange is as useful as a 1% battery. Only at Spurs. That's our hierarchy.
Absolutely nailed it. Who was it that said that?
Malware.
Malware, the man. Absolutely nailed it.
L'Apprentice says, Enoch will make Frank another fall guy. I can't believe for 1 second that Frank don't want a better squad and agrees to sell players with no replacement. Well, look, everyone wants a better squad. Every manager in the league wants a better squad. It's all about what you're able to do with the squad you have.
Yeah. What I do agree with, Frank will be another one thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
He will be, whether you like his style of football or not, whether you like him in the media or not, he will be thrown under the bus like many managers before him and many managers after him whilst this board are here. Frank has got a lot of responsibility to take and accountability to take, but I do agree that all these managers get thrown under the bus.
L'Apprentice again says, the other clubs down the street, they got an injury, they went to the market for reinforcement. Our club sell players, no replacement, always fall short, and no backing of any manager. Enoch out. Hard to disagree with how this club is run, to be honest.
Another guy that has absolutely nailed it.
Tom Whitten says, the fans hate the manager is shitting the bed, the players are fighting with the fans. How the hell can we attract top players? It's a hard sell. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, it's yeah. When you put it as bluntly as that, can you imagine? We've probably got people like lads going, "Why do you want to come here?" Yeah, well, it's shit. You're playing regular first team football. Managers will come and go. It is going to be a tough sell.
All right, well, that is the Super Jats. Let's now get to reaction. Yesterday was a glorious day for things to react to.
This will probably be about a 4-hour segment of the show.
There was so much happened yesterday. First of all, Apologies. All right, first of all, Kieran N17. He says, if only acrobatic goals counted, we'd be top of the league. This is all the overhead kick goals we have scored this season. Got Richarlison against Burnley, Paulini against Doncaster, Romero against Newcastle, and now Paulini adding his another notch to the list against Bournemouth yesterday. We've just got a knack of scoring the spectacular this season, haven't we?
Yeah.
Some of them.
Overhead kicks and overhead shins.
Yeah.
With Romero.
Yeah, true. And Richarlison also scored from the halfway line as well. Incredible. LETHFC says, weirdest performance ever. And these are the ratings yesterday. You've got Moani, Van der Ven, Porro, and Vicara all on 5s. You've got Romero, Paulini, and Tell all on 8s. It was a very mixed performance about it was like either you're really shit or you're really good. Yesterday.
Well, that is the Tottenham way, isn't it, at the moment?
Mm-hmm. It was a very strange performance, wasn't it? Chris Cowlin. So this is about the edited post, so we'll breeze over that one. Although, let's talk about that for a sec, actually. He took out the term. I didn't mention that when we mentioned it.
No, you did. You did.
No, I mentioned it, but we didn't discuss it. He
Okay.
took out to tell a few lies.
Yeah.
Why do you think the club told him to take him out?
100%.
His agent?
100% the club. 100%.
But why would they allow him to keep up the whole statement and just that bit?
Because maybe it's the lies bit that has got to him. Maybe that's what's come into question. You're right, it could be his agent, but I would put my money on the club. This would have been... Do you know what? There might have even been a bit...
Free speech!
Exactly.
Why are you silencing him?
It'll probably end up in prison now.
Sean says, not even Thanos could collect something with such efficiency. So this is the amount of Dr. Tottenhams we've had in the last few years. So Bournemouth on an 11-game losing streak, beat us. Leicester somehow lost, I don't know how many games in that. 13 is that? But one win, and that's us. Ipswich last season, one win in 13. Guess who it's against?
Yep.
This is 5 years ago. One win in 7.
Yep.
Who's it against?
Yep.
We also had Nottingham Forest recently. One loss in 5 games.
Yep.
One win in 5 games, sorry. Who was it against? Tottenham. So Dr. Tottenham, ready and waiting.
Like I said, it doesn't matter who the manager is, Dr. Tottenham will always see you.
That's something, yeah. He's always available, isn't he?
He is always available.
And he always has the same prescription, 3 points.
3 point, yeah.
And you'll take it very nicely. Tottenham Hotspur. Lily White Rose says, on top of how poor Frank's Tottenham are week in, week out, Brentford are totally benefiting from not having him. They're 5th in the league, right?
I know. I mean, it's 5th
Under
now.
Keith
Let's see what
Andrews.
they do. But Keith Andrews has done a fantastic job.
They're 1 point behind Liverpool and Man United.
Again, do you know what? First of all, well done to Keith Andrews. He's doing a magnificent job. But like we were speaking earlier, they lose their players. We're talking about Brighton and Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget Brentford. Brentford, when they lose players, their recruitment team, will cash in. We'll go get the players. And we talk about the good they're doing up top, mate. Like I keep... Kelleher is a top goalkeeper. He was a fantastic buy for them. Then they've got the front. They are just doing wonders.
The question is, was Frank holding them back?
No, I think it's way too early to say. I can't get up on. But look, if we're basing it on this, then there's a case for it. But we'll see in the long run.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Fair play.
At the moment.
But do you know what it is? It showed. And this is the annoying thing about Frank as well. You could see that if we just attacked this month correctly, look at Newcastle, who are doing so poorly. I think they've won 3 or 4 games back to back now.
Yeah, and all of a sudden
they're up.
the league.
It's literally a couple of games winning run, and you're back up there challenging where you need to be. Newcastle have faith in what they're doing, and Eddie Howe and playing that football we don't hear.
Anas Ahmed says, boring football, mid-table team, mid-table manager who drinks from an expensive from an Arsenal Cup? Who drinks from an Arsenal Cup? Relationship between players and fans is awful. Expensive tickets to watch a bang average football team. There's nothing good with anything to do with Tottenham at the moment. What has happened to this football club?
Yeah.
It's a mess. Mess from top to bottom, Brian.
Mate, it's
nothing.
It's
nothing
constantly in a mess, but we never know the extent or where the mess is coming from. There's always a fire to put out, but now it's not just a fire, it's an inferno. And it's going to take a lot to put out this fire.
Spurs Statman says, Tell had the 4th most touches of any Tottenham player yesterday. He scored 2 in 5 Premier League starts. Not insane, but today was the kind of performance I expect when we signed him. An attacking left winger really doesn't feel like our biggest January problem. Well, it definitely isn't at the moment with Kudus's injury. But yeah, look, Tell. I thought we spoke about him in the ratings, but it's just mind-boggling how he hasn't been given more of a run. Like, he's clearly got talent. I think, and I know you've been saying as well recently in his cameos, he's been doing quite well. And so even within that, he still hasn't been getting the starts. Now he started and he played brilliantly.
Yeah, and hopefully this is an indication that obviously he played him against Sunderland.
Yeah.
And he did well. Now got his 2nd start. So he's got the opportunity. He's taking it and doing everything on his side. And let's just hope that he starts against Aston Villa, because I believe he deserves to start. He deserves the shirt.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely does. Paddy Power says, so to sum up, Tottenham Hotspur's night. Penalty talked off for diving. Concede a late goal to lose the game. The goal scorer is an Arsenal fan. Van der Ven offers out his own fans. Manager is spotted walking around with an Arsenal cup. Sensational stuff. Didn't even include Romero's bombshell statement as well.
But was that tweeted before it went out?
Yeah, it must have been. I don't know. Tweeted at 10:29. Yeah, it might have been. It was quite late, his statement.
There you go. So, yeah, just another...
Just a typical day in Tottenham.
Mate, that's a quiet day.
That's a quiet day.
It's a quiet day at Tottenham Hotspur and Hotspur Way.
George Sessions says, say what you want about Romero, but he cares about Tottenham, and I want players that are my club who care. It is, again, toxic around Tottenham, and there's a multitude of reasons why, but this group delivered in Bilbao. Some are not good enough, but plenty are. Stick with them. Do you buy that Romero cares about this club? Do you think that he signed a contract, he's our captain, but seems to get frustrated a lot?
I think honestly, I do think he has the club at his heart. And we should remember a couple of years ago, did the interview saying, "I love London, I love this football club. It's where my kid was born. My kid is England, and all that. I love the Spurs fans." I do believe he has Tottenham in his heart, but every man has their limit, or every person, man and woman, has their limit, and when they say, "Right, this is it, I've got to say something." And Romero's come out and done it. So I do believe he has the club at his heart. I really do.
Next up, Paddy Power again, fully expecting to see Thomas Frank on AFTV tomorrow in full Arsenal kit, doing a watch-along for the Liverpool game. And Piers Morgan, lovely pick of Thomas Frank this morning.
Yeah, do you know what? This is the thing.
As much as, look, I understand he picked up the wrong cup, but... You're going to expect this, aren't you? It's just
mate, with the internet as it is now and social media,
I feel bad for him actually. This. Look, but at the end of the day, there's a picture of him holding an Arsenal cup, drinking from
exactly. It. Do you remember when people got told at Spurs you don't drive a red car? Mm-hmm. There's certain things. Obviously, he's picked up.
And also, there was someone who came in with red boots or red hair. I think Tainio was it, or someone. He tells a story.
Yeah,
or came in with red hair or red boots, and he's like, "Get rid of those."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you make this error, we're all going to be enraged, but the rest of the footballing world, and especially Arsenal fans, are going to lap this up and literally go for it. And it was obvious that was going to appear, isn't it, in some kind of format. And, oh, yeah, Jesus.
This picture is absolutely phenomenal from Spurs Insider saying he couldn't believe what he's seeing. This is our analyst just looking at Thomas Frank in absolute horror about what cup he is holding, and Frank completely oblivious, laughing away. This is unbelievable meme material. But this is our analyst. I can't remember his name, but this is our analyst who signed in the summer. His face is a proper picture, isn't it? He's literally looking at the cup like, "Oh my God, what are you holding?
Yep. What have you done?
Get rid of that right now."
Yeah. Mate,
but I hope he said something to him. You know, like there's when someone has something on their face and people say, should you say something? You should always say something. And he should be telling Frank, get rid of that cup immediately before anyone sees it. Like, he's looking at it like, oh my God, what has he done?
The sad thing, you look at it, if someone was making him a cup of coffee, one of the person making it or him would have seen the emblem.
Someone would have seen that emblem. Someone in the chain must have seen it.
You know what I mean? If like when you're getting a pint poured for you got one end and the other. It's like, how has no one seen that?
I just love that Frank's face. He's just so oblivious to what's going on.
I did listen to Ben and say, do you know what? There is so much to put on the blame.
Obviously, it's trivial, but it's
trivial. But listen, if it's going to be trivial, to do something that concerns that team down the road is like the worst of the worst. And it's just
terrible.
Mate, do you know, just when this guy's like, do you know what? I can't catch a break. And then
I was saying, if Alonso was walking around the Bernabeu with a Barcelona cup, they'll probably attack him.
Mate, there will probably be people outside. The fans will be outside the training ground.
That's what I'm saying. So like it does. I'm not saying it's like it makes the biggest deal, but it's a horrible, horrible look. And God, it's just, of all the things to do when we're on this bad run and you're under pressure, walking around with an Arsenal cup, like, to top it off, it's just like, that will be the final straw for some people, however fair that is or not.
Also, look at it, Jose Mourinho said in his interview, I wear the Tottenham pyjamas, I wear the pyjamas, theoretically and metaphorically speaking. Well, thanks to that image now, we've now seen Frank in the Phil's pyjamas. Wonderful things.
God. Can't wait for the memes to come out from that picture.
Oh, there's going to be a catalogue of them.
Out of context, Tottenham fans and players argue after the game. Yeah, this was Van der Ven after the game. Why do you think we're seeing this more and more, more broad public displays of frustration, disgruntlement from the players? There seem to be, reacting to things from fans. We saw Van der Ven and Spence trudging off the pitch. We saw after the game against Fulham when Vicario got booed, Porro telling Bergvall to stop cheering on, clapping the fans. We're now having this. Is this just more evidence of disconnect between the players and the fans, or what do you think is leading to this? It's hard to say.
It's a catalogue of things. It's the disconnection from the club as a whole to the way it treats its supporters is not good. And beforehand, obviously, you got to remember, this time last year, it was the Kulusevski song, all about Levy. Like, let's get him out, it's enough. Well, now, obviously, we can look at Enoch, but all this anger would have been put in one place and one place only.
Yeah, now it's...
And now, you look at it, these players... Frank's come out and said about the fans, which is obviously filtered down to the players. I am of the right... The fans have every right to criticise the performance. The performance, not personally attack the players. But there is a total disconnect at this football club. There is a real big problem. And this is where we are now. You've got players
asking, basically telling fans, let's have it out, let's do it. Like, bloody hell. Like, everyone needs to just... calm down. At the end of the day, we lost. You just got to take it on the chin. But I guess from his point of view, maybe he thought we played quite well, and to see fans still shouting these things was tough to take. But he's like, let's have it. He's like, let's have it out. He's winning.
Yes, the first time we've seen anything remotely like this from Van der Ven.
He's usually got such a cool head on him.
Yeah.
It's not great. Maya Almador said, this was my primary concern with Frank, and it's still the same. You cannot be an elite team without the intention to control games with the ball. There is a lot of quality in this squad. The performances and the approach should be better. Something I want to talk about is how incompetent Spurs are when it comes to recruiting managers. You can see the thought process, and it's very immature. They had Poch, who did a good job, but didn't win anything. So they went for serial winners in Mourinho and Conte. Their football was boring, so they went for the most fun manager in Europe in Postecoglou. Defensively, the team was disastrous. So they went for the most solid coach available. Every managerial appointment is a drastic reaction to the last. There is no sporting vision for how to build something that lasts and take the club to the top. Ironically, Spurs are one of the easiest projects to solve because of the financial scale of the club and the squad at hand. All they need is competence.
I
constantly get our managerial appointments wrong and their immature decisions.
I agree, but the one part I do disagree with is with the Jose and Conte appointments. Yes, I was fuming when we got Jose because it meant Poch had gone. We hired win now managers to win now, but we all knew categorically that those two types of managers spend hundreds upon hundreds of millions of pounds getting elite players in, winning, and then shitting the bed and going toxic. Jose wasn't given anything, really. Look at the players he wanted and what we got, but we all know that. Conte got us into the Champions League with a very, very poor squad, and we started playing some good football in that first 6 months. And then to address the Champions League, we had the £150 million windfall, which we didn't even spend, and signed 7 players. Conte wouldn't sign any of them at any of the other clubs he's been at. Not a single one of them. So I think, and the style of football, I think Spurs fans can, if Conte had stayed and spent the money wisely, and you saw we were 4th when he left and went up to Southampton. That was with shit, but Kane and Son. Imagine what he could have done if he got the type of players in that he wants, needs, and gets the best out of. So I agree wholeheartedly with competency and everything like that. But I think the Jose and Antonio Conte hirings were hired to win now and to Daniel Levy's try and show Spurs fans, there you go, I've got you the top manager. And the club thought, no, I've got a top manager, we win. Not I need to do anything to back him.
Cody Mack, big up Cody. He said on replying to Romero's Instagram, he said must have been some kind of lies they told him to get him to ink a new deal. Considering he's called out management in previous years, he's either deflecting, angling for an exit, or genuinely calling out the board. Hopefully, it has an effect on the winter window, but I'm doubtful.
He's bang on.
Yeah, let's see if the window makes a big difference. Scroll down to Spurs Web. Said nobody would believe that this club won a trophy less than 12 months ago. It's a sad state of affairs to see such a disconnect continuing to grow. This is Porro also having an altercation. You can see there with he's telling fans to F off, I think. Porro having out with fans as well. Look, you can see there, look, it was really aggressive between everyone. Oh, Vicario coming in to make peacemaker. You just cast your mind back to 6 months ago. We're all in the parade outside the Tottenham Stadium. Everyone's loving life, and now 6 months later, it just couldn't be more of a disconnect. It's horrible, really, considering it's just how quickly it's all unravelled.
Yeah, what I will say, where you're right, it's all unravelled. There was a disconnect before Bilbao. You remember when the last bit of Pochettino, when we hadn't won away for a year, it was paper. Get us to the Champions League, papered over the cracks. There was a lot of disconnect with this football club before Bilbao, whether it be the manager, whether it be the owner, whether it be players. Then there was Bilbao and the euphoria, which was rightly deserved, and people have waited a long time for. Some fans, it was the first trophy in their life. But the disconnect is back now, and it seems to be between players, fans, and manager.
And there's disconnect between fans arguing with each other. Frank in, Frank out.
Fans were doing that with Levy.
Fans
were doing that with Levy.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be long before people start getting on the Enix really hard. Like, what do you think about protests again? Is it time yet?
all I will say with this is obviously Change for Spurs have sent a statement over or an email. I can tell you firsthand, it was exactly this time last year where I started going to the training ground every single day with Ryan Isaacs and Graham, and then more people came. And then obviously Kulusevski and Bentancur came. And you start protesting, and then something happens. It makes you, I think, if anything, look, January is January. We don't know what we're going to do. The club know what they're going to try and do. Whether they pull it off is a...
I hope they do anyway.
Yeah, I hope, that's a good point. But I think to start protesting in January doesn't... If you're going to do it, you need to do it near the end, because, like I said, I was there 16, 17 days non-stop, and then Kulusevski and Bentancur delivered. And what that did, because the protest started gathering some movement and gaining some traction, and all the people were like, do you know what, maybe there is something to might not agree with what I say or how I say it, but might have said, you know what, he's getting a point. And then you get a Bentancur and Kulusevski, and everyone's like, oh my God, how stupid. So I don't know if it's too soon. I only know from my own experience, I would say it's too soon to protest right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if January is poor that Change for Tottenham don't start.
Tottenham independent transfer stories with a picture of Frank on AFTV being the new tie.
Well, that's...
Oh, God. Dearie me. Oh, poor Frankie boy. It's time to go! Luca THFC says, because of Vinay, here's the actual stats for Arteta's first 30 games in charge and the supposed bad run the next 30. So in Arteta's first 30 games, he won 18, drew 6 and lost 6. In his next 30, he won 17, drew 3, lost 10. And in Frank's first 30, he's won 11, drew 8 and lost 11. So he's much worse than Arteta, is what is the point.
I personally, when it comes to Arsenal, I think Arteta kept his job during that COVID time because of COVID.
Right.
If and what I mean by that is, if the fans were in the stadium the way they were feeling, they would have made their. But they would have. I think, and I think as well that might have happened with Jose at Spurs earlier because of the style of football. But I think there were times where I think they were in the bottom half at some point at Christmas or whatever.
There was a point in his second season where they started the season with like 7 losses in 8 or something.
Yeah, and I think if
but he also had the credit of the FA Cup in the bank.
That he did, but I think during COVID, if the fans had got in and COVID hadn't been a thing, and then obviously the fans would have acted. And I don't know. I mean, it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda now. But
the point being, everyone keeps Vinay has been one of the ones who was big on keeping Arteta.
Yep.
But this has been a lot worse than that. This isn't comparable, I guess, is the point.
Yeah.
To Arteta. And just because Arteta had a bad start, and even though it was not as bad as what we've got, doesn't mean we've got the right guy.
But what I will say, and I will actually. The one thing I will always give praise to for Arteta, and I hate doing this, but I'm going to, and the Arsenal board, is he came in and immediately saw Aubameyang and Ozil as bad eggs and needed to get them out the door. They were club record signings on the highest wages of the club on 350 grand a week. And he said, get them out and get them out now. They're not going to help the squad. And Arsenal have obviously turned around and said, you do know these are our highest earners. These are like our... And they, with no managerial experience, they went, all right, we'll do this, but this is going to fall on you. Mm-hmm. So could you imagine if we'd had a top earner and the manager had said, I want him out? Do you reckon the Spurs board...
contracts,
do you reckon the Spurs board would have gone, no, make him better, teach him? So with that, I do give Arteta the only slightest bit of credit is... He saw it, he asked for it, he dealt with it, and now look.
Me, Mourinho, with Ange, and still conceding late goals. And Spurs. Great partnership. Great partnership there. BLTHFC says, it's so funny that the narrative last season was that we'd be in a relegation battle if the bottom three weren't terrible. We're getting there this season with our strongest backline, not Davis, Gray, Dragusin and Basuma at centre-back.
Yeah, what I will say this, I do agree with this, but then what you're saying about those with the defensive players, you could say with the attacking players for us now.
Well, now it is, I wouldn't give them that
Madders,
as much
Decky,
credit.
Solanke.
Yes, but again, they happened at the beginning.
But I'm saying,
had them.
So I'm saying,
right now I agree because Kudus, Bergvall.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
right now that we're a bit of a crisis.
Yeah, it's.
But I I wouldn't have given them that grace during the season, to be honest. But I would, I wouldn't have given him as much, not as much grace as I gave Ange, put it that way, on that front. And that's it. That's it. That is it. Well, actually, one more. Can you scroll down to the Tottenham Hotspur tweet?
Yeah.
This was horrible news, obviously, we heard yesterday. Spurs tweeting out, it was an immense sadness that we announced the passing of our legendary former striker Martin Chivers. We extend our deepest sympathies to Martin's family and former teammates at this incredible sad time. Our players will wear black armbands, which they did yesterday for the game against Bournemouth. Rest in peace, Martin, one of the all-time greats. So, good time to remember one of our legends. Had an unbelievable scoring record. I read it out yesterday, 128 goals in 278 games. Won the UEFA Cup, won 2 League Cups, much decorated, always welcome back at Tottenham, has been back many, many times as one of the legends. Correct me if I'm wrong, when I was young, like in the early 2000s, wasn't he like an announcer or he was on the pitch? He was doing it a lot, right?
Yep.
A lot of the pitch side stuff, similar to what Paul Coit was doing, maybe.
Kind of, yep.
Yeah, at half time. Will be fondly remembered, and rest in peace.
I think fondly is a great way to say it. This guy. Obviously, he's just before my time, or a little bit before my time, but whenever I used to speak to my dad or grandpa or people of that generation, when they speak about Martin Chivers, you will only hear wonderful things. A striker that had 2 years of a purple patch, where pretty much everything he hit went in the back of the net. I've had the pleasure of being able to sit down and watch games that my dad had recorded or seeing catalogues of his goals. Had one of the hardest shots you ever see. A gentle giant, a legend. We use that word very, 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 very easily in today's modern football. Martin Chivers is definitely that, and it's a huge loss. Condolences to his friends and family, and I hope they honour him in some capacity, whether it's a minute silence, a minute applause, or something, so the fans can say goodbye or something, because a wonderful player and had Spurs in his blood, didn't he?
I'm sure in the next home game, or maybe on Saturday, there'll be a tribute to him and a good marking, because he deserves it.
100%.
Rest in peace, Martin. Thoughts with his family. Hope obviously thoughts and prayers with them. Look, that is it for Reacts. Yesterday was a crazy day in Tottenham Hotspur. Today hasn't gotten much better, if we're being very honest. 1,000 of you still here. Big up to everyone who's been watching the stream. It's been a big one, 3 hours, but a lot to talk about, hasn't there? A lot to talk about. We'll be back tomorrow. Ben's back in the studio. We're going to be previewing the Villa game, the FA Cup. It's a big game ahead of us. So we'll see you tomorrow. But thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Brian.
My pleasure, brother.
On the show as always. And we'll see you tomorrow. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.